on digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
The Two Mics on Talk Sport.
Good afternoon, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry, you're listening to Two Mics on Talk Sport. It's a massive afternoon of sport we've got for you. Chelsea are down in Swansea. Can they get 3 points to keep up with Pep Guardiola's new look Manchester City? Legendary Grammy Award-winning producer Steve Lillywhite joins us. He's a massive Chelsea fan. Plus, two former giants of European football are clashing in the Midlands. Nottingham Forest visit Aston Villa for their first meeting this century. But will either of them ever see glory again? And we'll be talking boxing as well with Ron Lewis from The Times. 08717 22 3344. Also coming up on the show, we've got another edition of Heroes and Villains, and there's plenty of them this weekend, including Porky himself. You're listening to The Two Mics with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. There's some massive football matches going on this afternoon, and we'll be covering all of them, of course. Time to say a very good afternoon to Mr. Mike, a Porky, a Parry. Very good afternoon to you, Mr. Parry.
And a very good afternoon to you, MG. And I have to say, I'm glad you're bigging up this Villa Forest game because, you know, people don't realise the sort of culture, history, heritage, and just wherewithal magnificence of these two clubs.
Well, former magnificence, I'd have to say.
Well, no, but when you go to them now, and I'd love to be able to say this about my club, and many other Premiership fans would like to be able to say it about theirs. You walk into their foyer, and what do you see?
You see an awful lot of European trophies.
Exactly. You see at Notts Forest, you see a model of two European
Nottingham
Cups.
Forest, they'll be upset.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Sorry, yeah, you're absolutely
right. They will
right.
hate you for that.
They will indeed. Sorry, Notts County, Nottingham Forest.
Yes.
At Nottingham Forest, you go in and you see a replica of two European Cups.
That's right.
That magnificent trophy lifted, so many times by some of the world's greatest footballers.
Yes.
And when you go to Aston Villa, you see one there as well, 1971.
Yes.
The year after, by the way, that Villa won the Football League Championship, as it was in then, the First Division.
Division 1, yeah.
And our colleague, Mr. Brazil, has never stopped moaning ever since.
Why?
His Ipswich beat Villa 3 times that season.
Oh, yeah.
They beat them home and away, and they beat them in the FA Cup.
Oh, yeah.
And Villa still picked them for the league title. Ipswich came second.
I saw a story about Ipswich over the weekend, did I not? It was something to do with World Cup tickets, which, may or may not be a true story.
That's been rumbling on and on and
on.
I know. You're talking about a member of the board of Ipswich who also has a business in corporate hospitality.
Alleged to have been scalping tickets and selling them on.
Well,
I'm sure it can't be true.
Well, I'm sure if it is, somebody will get to the bottom of it. Not one for us on the show today.
No, absolutely not.
You're absolutely right.
So I mean, who would you be? I mean, 12th and 17th in the Championship.
Yeah.
Now, the question I'm asking is, will either of them ever see glory again? I don't think Nottingham Forest or Aston Villa will actually ever get back into the Premier League. I just don't see it.
Oh, well, I think they'll get back into the Premier League. I'm certain Villa will get back into the Premier League. And I suppose...
Well, it doesn't look like they're going to this season.
I think Villa are too big a club. Now, the chap now who's the architect of the sort of rebirth of Aston Villa is a gentleman called Keith Winness.
Yes.
And Keith is an old mate of mine from the days when he had the same job at Everton.
Oh, yeah.
And he's a highly competent man.
When was the last time you spoke to him?
Keith, not so long ago,
really?
about a year ago, something like that.
A year ago?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, but hang on. Our paths cross at all times in the world of football and football administration, all that kind of stuff.
I see.
So don't worry too much about that.
I'm not
He's
worried
a very busy man.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is that I think he will engineer a situation, a blueprint, a ground plan for that to all happen.
But you see, we were talking earlier about, money coming in, and we would have thought Manchester City would become such a massive club, and we'll talk about the derby in a little while.
Yes.
But, I think there will become a limit to the amount of money that goes into a club, which then guarantees success, because it doesn't anymore.
No, of course it doesn't.
Look at all the clubs that have had loads of money given to them, and it just doesn't work out.
I totally agree with you. And now with the Chinese moving in, and the Chinese are going to make a huge impression on the Premier League within the next 18 months.
Yeah.
And the favourite amongst the football business aficionados is that they'll take Liverpool.
Yes.
Liverpool are adamant that it will not be Liverpool.
What do you make of their new stand, by the way?
Magnificent.
Pretty big, isn't it?
I think I told you, I went to Everton's first game against Spurs this season, and as we drive in past the cemetery up towards Goodison, and there's only a mile of Stanley Park between Goodison and Anfield, but you never used to be able to see Anfield's roof from the other side.
No, but now you can.
Oh, you can.
It's like taunting you from a mile away.
Not only that, I haven't been on the Wirral yet, but apparently you can see it from the Wirral. Barrow, which is the other side of the River
other
Mersey.
interesting stat I heard last night as well, 54,000 I think is now what the capacity is. But last time they achieved that was 1977.
Yeah, that's right.
Isn't it amazing that you can go back to the future if you like?
Yeah, but in those days, 20,000 people stood on the Kop.
Indeed.
And, the biggest standing area in the world. So that's all interesting. West Ham is another interesting situation, talking about standing, because they now have an issue with people standing.
Yeah.
And
do you remember the first game they had at the stadium where still some of the seats hadn't been put in? I presume that's been put right, but I don't know.
Well, I don't know. And also...
I mean, they didn't mean to be standing. There just wasn't actually a seat in the allotted place where they bought one.
Yeah, exactly. I was listening to some football, commentator, not a man who commentates on matches, but a pundit on football, who said that he was very surprised after his first visit to West Ham this year to find that the seats that they haven't sold, because although they have a much increased capacity and a much increased attendance, there's still some areas of the ground that aren't sold, are covered in blue and white flags, which I think is a very good idea, because then you don't want blocks of empty seats, do you, to be shown? Because it's a massive stadium.
It is.
It'll take time, I think, for people to get used to it. I still haven't got used to
seeing that sort of fake grass around the pitch, though. It just looks weird to me.
Not only that, I mean, the technical areas for both teams are a five-a-side football pitch away from the bench, if you see what I mean, because there's a lot of space there. But that's all good stuff. Now, I do want to talk to you...
By the way, I've got a correction for you already.
Oh, yes?
This one comes from Raymondo. So tell Soppy Parry it was 81, not 71.
Sorry, of course it was. Of course it was. I beg your pardon. In 71.
Yeah.
Well, Everton won it in 70, and we hoped to win the European Cup in 71, but we were brutally kicked out of the game in...
was it Romania?
No, in Greece, in Panathinaikos.
Oh, was it?
And we...
There's always some excuse, isn't
0-0 at Everton, 1-1 over there, and we should have had a penalty in the last 5 minutes and gone through. We would have won the European Cup, but we didn't.
Jose Mourinho should have had a penalty yesterday.
He should have had a penalty. We'll get onto that in a sec. Now, what I want to talk to you about is an incredible sporting event which has happened today, of which I, of course, have been a part.
Indeed.
And you will never be a part of.
And what is that? The Great North Run?
Indeed.
Yeah, what, because you walked round it?
No, I went round it.
You walked round it?
But only 1/3 of my hard work.
It's called the Great North Run. It's not called the Great North Walk.
If I'd have run round it, I'd be dead.
Yeah, well...
So I had to walk.
There's always a silver lining.
But I've got my medal. I've got the medal.
Have you? Where is it?
Right.
Did
my
you bring
medal,
it in?
It hangs from my spotlight at home.
Why didn't you bring it in?
Next to my Russian hat.
Why don't you bring it in to prove that
you
have
I
one?
don't have to prove anything.
Yeah, you do.
No, when I get home, I'll take a picture of it and send it out if you don't believe me.
Yeah, I don't believe you. Because I don't,
you don't believe me?
No, I always want to see pictures.
Well,
I always want to see pictures.
I know what year it was.
The audience demand it. What year was it?
2007.
Really?
Because it says so on the medal.
2007?
On my medal. Yeah.
You shouldn't just buy the medal from someone.
No. I've got a certificate as well.
Has it got your name on the medal?
No, but I've got
so how do we know it's yours then?
I've got a certificate and also a picture
I need to see all of that.
Of me and Steve McLaren.
Yeah, I've seen that picture, actually.
And Paula Ratcliffe at the finishing line.
Yeah, I've seen that.
That's how good I am.
You sure it wasn't the finish line?
The finish line, that's right. Yeah, where you come over. So I think
Did you have a nice chat with Steve at that time? Was he England manager then?
Well, I mean...
Do you know what?
It complimented me.
Do you know what? I'm going to have to
me.
We're going to need several.
We're
going to need several managerial impersonations from you today. Sean Dyche, of course, back in the Premier League.
Sean. Well,
you're going to do Sean.
So it's very sad to lose a goal in the last minute.
Brendan Rodgers, right, having triumphed in his first Old Firm derby, even though lots of people in Scotland refused to call it the Old Firm derby.
Years were magnificent.
It was about talking about a boxing mismatch. What about Jerry Barton? Against his opposite number at Celtic.
Joey Barton
playing for Rangers.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, hopeless.
Right. And was useless, wasn't he?
Well, look, no, Rangers were useless. I don't know how good Joey Barton was, but look, give the guy his due. He put out a tweet saying, rubbish performance yesterday. We need to be much better there. But in fairness, Rangers have got a lot of catching up to do to get themselves up to sort of SPL level. And Brendan Rodgers was pushing an open door yesterday, in my view.
He was.
Rangers' main job this season's got to be consolidation, and then they've got to fix themselves up to be a useful and realistic force to Celtic next season.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that everyone was surprised about was that Joey Barton didn't get sent off, even when Scott Brown went up to him and cupped his ear.
Yes.
As I think it was the fourth goal winning.
That's right, yeah.
And just taunted him.
That's right, yeah. And you'd have thought something might have happened there.
Yes.
The point is that Brendan Rodgers is, a man of great credibility, but going to Celtic guaranteed you at least 2 trophies this season. Yeah. And actually, if you don't get 3, you're failing.
Well, he's got them into the Champions League group stage, so,
Yeah, sure.
He's already achieved that, which is worth a lot of money, hasn't he?
No, he hasn't.
I thought he had.
No, I mean, they've got to play the games to get them into the...
No, they've done all that.
Into the knockout stage.
Yeah, but they're into the main event.
Into the main event.
Which is worth an awful lot of money to a team like Celtic.
Of course it is.
They're worth about 20 million out of that.
Very good fundraiser there, and if you can get them any further and get them into the Champions League post-Christmas, he will indeed have heroic status in Glasgow.
Well, Neil Lennon managed it, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
He did. Now, there's also lots of other questions I've got for you, including the one about the picture that you sent out on Friday evening.
Oh, yes.
Where you appear to be at the Savoy.
Oh, yes.
With a mystery blonde.
Oh, no. That's our new business partner, which I've told you all about.
Well, you haven't told me anything about
She's
new business
great
partner.
on investment plans.
Excuse me, we're both in the same business here,
yes.
Right? You haven't mentioned this woman to me at all.
Well, I haven't had time. I haven't got round to it yet. No.
You kept it pretty quiet last week as well.
It was a chance meeting.
Oh, was it?
Chance meeting.
Chance for what?
No. Be smutty. It was
Not
a chance.
being smutty. I can see where your hand is, though. Doesn't look very businesslike to me.
That was
wrapped around her right to buttock. It looks to me.
That was a request from the photographer. That was nothing to do with me. Yeah.
Who was the photographer?
The guy taking the picture.
Well, who was he? Just some stranger.
No, it was. We have business magazine associates and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, we'll have to get into more of that coming up because we're out of time already.
Okay.
We are the Two Mikes. There's massive football coming up. It's Aston Villa, of course, hosting Nottingham Forest, and then it's Swansea versus Chelsea coming up a little bit later on. This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mikes. We're here till 4 o'clock, of course, and there's lots and lots of football to talk about. Lots of other sport going on as well, of course. Last night there was a massive boxing match down at the O2. Kell Brook, unfortunately, didn't come out of it doing very well.
That's right.
And he's now been said to be not a middleweight by Mr. Golovkin, who's probably right about that, because he did go up a couple of weights and didn't really look as if he was even at the pictures.
Indeed.
Just before we talk to Ron Lewis, who's boxing correspondent for The Times, let's just have a couple of quick tweets. One here from Paul, who's a Manchester City fan. He said, "Afternoon, chats. I'm sorry, but your debate on where the Chinese will splash their mega bucks, Mr. Parry is so wrong. Manchester City are their big target, 276 million already invested, and now they're after more. City are their future targets, and they won't stop until they own 50%, 50%.
Well, all I would say is that they've got money opposing them there, and a lot of money. Whereas at Liverpool, there is money opposing them. You're talking about billionaire status owners at Liverpool already, but the Chinese are represented by the Chinese economy. They're represented by the Chinese government. The wealth of China is unsurpassable in any other terms. And in 20 years' time, they'll be the richest country in the world.
Absolutely right. And finally, one from Dave, who says, did Parry come first in the Big North run? Otherwise, what's the point of the medal? I thought only first was worth celebrating. You did say that in the past.
Well, I stand by the mantra, if you're not winning, you're not trying hard enough. But actually, my ambition to win the Great North Run against people... Who won it today again?
I don't know.
Was
it Mo Farah?
Mo Farah is a pretty damnable.
Well, you're not going to beat Mo Farah, are you?
Well, of course I'm not. So I didn't try.
You could start 10 yards from the end. And
yeah, exactly.
Beat him.
Exactly.
Anyway, let's talk to Ron Lewis, because he is the
Indeed.
man. He was down watching the Kell Brook fight last night. Who's now being told he has to undergo surgery on a broken eye socket. Ron, a very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Ron. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks very much indeed for taking the time to talk to us. Now, it was a bit of a mismatch last night, wasn't it? I mean, despite all the hype beforehand, it never really looked as though Kell Brook was at the races, as it were.
Well, I think Kell actually did better than a lot of people thought.
Really?
I thought he'd get stopped in 6 rounds, but he did make it very competitive while it was going. And, if you've watched Golovkin's previous fights, guys have gone in there and essentially sort of been very defensive and negative and got through a few rounds and then got taken out. I mean, what Kell did very well was he tried to take the fight at Golovkin. The problem was Golovkin, one of his great abilities is an ability to take a punch. And Kell landed some of his best shots on him and he didn't really budge. So when Golovkin got on top, that was kind of it.
I think you're absolutely right, Ron. In fact, I know you're absolutely right. You're an expert in this. But it's a bit like when a team goes to a ground where they know they're up against it and they say, right, come on, we'll go at them, we'll take them on. And the minute they take them on, they can see 2 early goals and they've had it. But do you know what I love about boxing, Ron? You've had this all your life. I love the impression boxers give before the fight of how fearless they are and how confident they are. And this fantastic quote from Kell Brook. I knew the fight was over when he said, I feel, he's talking about his opponent here, Mr. Golovkin, I feel he's on edge and uncomfortable. I looked into his eyes and all I could see was fear. Now, Mr. Golovkin doesn't fear many people. He said he didn't fear Kell Brook, did he?
No, I think Golovkin looked very relaxed all week, actually. I mean, it's a tough thing getting in a boxing ring.
Yeah, sure.
People have to, to get in there, he has to convince himself he's going to win. There's no point going in there and thinking he's just going to, is just going to be a bit of fun. And people do those things always to convince themselves. You convince yourself, you talk yourself into believing you can win, because the worst thing would be going in there having no belief he could win.
Right.
Yeah.
And Kel did well. He was very outgunned. I mean, the reality of the situation is that it's 50 years since a reigning welterweight champion's won the world middleweight title, and that's for a reason. And one guy's tried since in 1974, and that was a really great fight called Jose Naples, and he was stopped in 6 rounds. So it's a big jump, and it's kind of a traditional jump because it was the next weight up in the original 8 weights, but it's a really, really hard job to do it in one step like that.
And I see David Hayes been quite sort of sympathetic, hasn't he, saying that, this is not necessarily any more than a little setback because, you can throw in a towel in one fight and then you can be, world champion, a couple more years from now.
It is. I mean, David Hayes' first fight, defeat against Carl Thompson, the corner threw the towel in. He sort of like punched himself out, and he was getting caught in the ropes. And people accused his corner at the time of jumping in a bit too quick. But 3 years later, he's world cruiserweight champion. And in a couple of years, he held a version of the world heavyweight title. So you've got a career is a kind of long-term thing. There's no point, Kel getting carried out on a stretcher last night and his career was over.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly right.
Absolutely right. Ron, while we've got you on, please, I want to move on to another subject, another box.
Can I just ask one more question about it before you do that? Because I wanted to ask you about Chris Eubank Jr., who tweeted out, if you want a fight with a real British middleweight, come get some, to Gennady Golovkin. My corner don't own towels, which was then followed by a barrage of abuse from various boxing fans saying, you don't own a pen either, do you? Because you don't seem to be able to sign a contract.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, Brook got the fight because Eubank didn't sign for the fight. The fight was set up for Eubank. Exactly. And the problem Eubank now faces is that not only he's due to be defending his British title in Cardiff in, I think October, end of October, and he could have been fighting Golovkin. Now, there's obviously a huge difference in money for that, but he also got the chance to fight Golovkin in Britain, and I can't see, after what went on in those negotiations, Golovkin or any world middleweight champion being that keen to want to come to Britain to face Eubank if they think that it's going to be a difficult fight to make or there might be problems over the promotion. And this is the problem he's now going to face because he put himself forward for that fight. The fight was made, and because of various strange things in the contract, they didn't sign for it.
It's very odd indeed, but they will live to fight another day, I'm sure. Now, Ron, sorry, I thought I was so rudely interrupted by my friend here. Who asked
I've got to interrupt you every now and again.
No, asked a very valid question. I want to talk to you about Ricky Hatton, Ron, because you must know Ricky very well indeed over the years. And although it's only allegations, there have been some very sort of salacious reports over the weekend in our newspapers about Ricky allegedly getting into some bother over in Tenerife.
With the fish and chip shop owner.
Fish and chip shop owner, brawls, people claiming that they've been hurt by, scuffles involving, the former great champion himself. I mean, this is a bit of a, I'm not questioning whether the accuracy of these reports is right or wrong. What I'm saying is we do know that Ricky's had a very difficult time since he retired, hasn't he?
He has. I mean, it's a thing with all sportsmen, isn't it? I mean, sportsmen, it must be incredible to be a sportsman at that level and having that skill and having that sort of, we all go and watch those things to actually be in the centre of it. And every sportsman, I think, when they retire or when they lose their edge or when they come down, it's always very difficult for them. Ricky at least had a lot of money to fall back on because he did very well financially out of the game. Ricky has had a place in Tenerife for a very long time, and he's always liked to drink, and I've heard many stories over the years of people coming on and trying things on with him.
Yes.
Sometimes there are people with him to sort of stop, other people approaching whatever. No one knows what went on.
Because most boxers are kind of internally trained, aren't they, not to ever use their fists outside of the ring because they can kill someone.
Well, they are, but we, as I say, there's not even a police report on this, I don't believe.
No, he denies the assault anyway.
Yeah, he does.
Well, then, so they do become targets. But I've known a lot of boxers become targets for people who fancy their chances when they get drunk and want to take on
former champion.
There are a lot of people when they get drunk want to go out fighting. You need to watch half of the sort of like cop shows on TV to see that.
Yeah.
But I suppose the attraction would be, there's someone famous, let's go and cause some trouble. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what happened in this?
Well, funny enough, I mean, these reports they all start with Ricky having a drink with friends and then other people approaching him, you know what I mean? So what you've said is entirely accurate. It's just that, you kind of wonder where will it all end for Ricky? Has he still got ambitions now to be a promoter and a trainer?
Well, he's a trainer now, mostly. I mean, he promotes a bit, but not as much as he did because he lost his Sky TV deal. So, then it becomes a very sort of financially tough thing. Yeah. Unless you've got big-name fighters with you. One of the guys he promotes actually is a guy called Lucas Brown, an Australian who actually failed a drugs test, but won a version of the world heavyweight title and will be refighting for that. Yeah. So he has got some decent fighters with him, and he trains some very decent fighters. There's some young guys he trains. I think that's never going to be the same as actually doing it yourself. But he's got a gym. His gym is very busy. Yeah. And he's got some young fighters, and that's what he does. And I suppose. Ricky sort of, he was always, one of the problems was he was always an incredibly approachable guy.
He was. I went to Las Vegas with him.
And spend time with anyone. And have a drink with anyone. That was always kind of thing, Yeah. See him in the ring, and then you'd have a drink. You could go and have a drink with him. Yeah. Now, obviously, there come points when people don't have good days, and they do have good days. Sure. And,
no, you're absolutely right. In Las Vegas once, not only was I having a drink with Ricky after the fight, but in the 3 days up to the fight, I was drinking with his dad. We were dining with his girlfriend. You know what I mean? He was incredibly approachable camp, actually.
They must have loved seeing you every day.
Yeah, very good, yeah.
And obviously, when you read things like this, you've always got to think, how do I know the person?
Yeah, exactly.
How I know the person. Yeah. And I've seen him approached by lots of people and sort of like mobbed by lots of people, and I've never seen him. And while I have seen him very drunk, I've never seen him beat anyone up.
No, exactly.
No, indeed.
Well, I'm on Ricky's side on this one.
Yeah, well, Ron, thank you very much indeed. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the guy who's a fish and chip shop owner from Manchester, right? His other half is saying, I thought Ricky was going to kill him. I mean, there's also the problem with some of these people, right? Some of these people who think that they can make a few quid out of suing somebody like Ricky Hatton.
Well, not only that, but, Ron's absolutely right. Yeah, people try it on, I had a spat with Ricky Hatton. But I'll repeat what I said when we were doing the warm-up to this show with Max and
Barry.
Yeah. The funniest line about this, and I'm sorry if I've got a warped sense of humour, but Stephen, who was the alleged victim...
It's too late for that.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Stephen, who's the alleged victim, says, he gave me dirty looks and all this kind of stuff. He said, but then, he claims he was assaulted, which is up for debate, because Ricky Hatton denies it.
He doesn't, yeah.
But then Stephen says, I went back into the bar and asked a staff member why he'd failed to intervene, only to be punched severely in the face, knocking out 4 teeth.
Yeah, well, as we said earlier, his complaint may not have been quite in that civilised form. He may have gone in shouting and swinging his arms.
I think it also proves that, and Ron said Ricky's had a house in Tenerife for a long time. Ricky's probably pretty popular around there.
I would imagine so.
And when people start trying to make trouble for Ricky, and I'm not alleging, I'm not saying this chap was, but when they get involved in situations in which allegations are made, they probably don't take kindly to it.
They probably don't. You're absolutely right. So we've got lots more going on. Of course, Nottingham Forest playing Aston Villa at Villa Park. Chelsea taking on Swansea as well a little bit later on. We've got loads to do. We're going to talk to Steve Lillywhite, legendary Grammy-winning, award-winning producer of U2, and a big Chelsea fan. This is TalkSport.
Parry Radio today show us the most important thing in the sports, in this football, is when you have, it's not a mistake because he attacked the ball. I love when the goalkeepers take decisions to leave 10, 15 meters in front, attack the ball, and after with Johnstone's happen, and after the outstanding goal from Ibrahimovic, make the difference. And sometimes when that happens, maybe the player can think, oh, it's my fault. And instead, the Claudio said, okay, it's football, it's happened, we're unlucky because the situation is unlucky, And in that moment, the second half, what he did, play again, and play again, and play again with the ball. I know it's risk, because if you lose the ball, it's a goal against us. But when we win with that, we win many things. So that's why the performance for Claudio Bravo, with his personality, showed me a lot today. Showed me a lot. He was amazing with the feet and the saves and going to attack the ball. I am happy for him.
Pep Guardiola there talking about how his goalkeeper, Claudio Bravo, or otherwise known as Claudio Andres Bravo Munez, is great with his feet.
Yeah.
It's not something you really want a goalkeeper necessarily as the first port of call, is it?
Well, hang on, was he great with his feet?
Well, he was great.
He
was great at giving away a penalty, although the referee didn't seem to think it was one.
Not only giving away a penalty, he should have been sent off.
Yeah.
He clearly should have been sent off. He should have been red card, he should have been sent off.
I mean, you only have to you watch that from any angle.
Yes.
I don't care where the referee is, right? He's off the ground, he's got 2 feet in the
agree.
air, he's got his studs up.
Ridiculous.
And he's crunched into Wayne Rooney's shin.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's lost control of the ball.
Absolutely ridiculous. And by the way, old Joe Hart is settling in so well in Torino, isn't it? Yeah. That he already speaks fluent Italian, I was told last night.
Well, he must have been doing that for a while,
well,
wasn't he?
I don't know.
You don't suddenly just start speaking fluent Italian.
Well, I don't know.
If you turned up in Torino, you wouldn't be a week later speaking fluent Italian.
Well, no, I wouldn't. But then maybe he's got a flair for languages, because I think Jose Mourinho speaks 5 languages, doesn't he?
Yeah, but he's learned them over the course of time.
Well, I suppose so, yeah. But the, I mean, you know, Schadenfreude. That's a German word.
It is a German word, yes.
So Joe Hart's watching that on Sky in Italy yesterday.
It means enjoying the misfortune of others.
It does, and he sees Bravo dropping the ball, which leads to United's pullback goal.
What was that? It's a TV show, Juliet Bravo, wasn't it?
What?
Juliet Bravo was the TV show, wasn't it?
What's that got to do with it?
Well, it just made me think of Bravo.
Bravo.
Or you could say Bravo.
Yeah, Bravo.
But I'm just saying Juliet Bravo is the sort of programme you would have talked about on Porky Vision.
From about 35 years
ago.
Well,
that's the sort of shows you watch.
Woman police inspector. Yeah. Who was the actress in that?
Well, I knew you'd ask me that. I have no idea. Just the word
wasn't
Bravo.
That woman who went on later to play the female manager, was it, in the revolutionary...
female manager?
Yeah, there was a revolutionary programme on football in which the manager... Sherry Lungi was a female.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
but
it wasn't Sherry Lungi and Juliet Bravo. I think you're right. Bravo is what the crowd all shout at the bull ring, isn't it? You know, bravo!
Well, I don't know.
Then the bull comes galloping up again.
Have you ever been to a bullfight?
No, and I wouldn't. No, it's horrible.
No, I haven't either.
And the guy with the red flag.
So how do you know what they shout?
The matador. I've seen it. I've seen footage of it. You know, bravo!
It's not a red flag, it's a cape.
A red cape, that's right. Yeah, bravo! And then it runs through again. Bravo!
No, it's not. They shout ole.
Oh, do they? Okay, I thought it was Bravo. I know where Bravo is shouted.
You shout Bravo if you're trying to be sort of relatively civilised and cheer somebody.
I tell you shouts Bravo all the time.
Who?
Opera attendees.
Do they?
You know, spectators at the opera, what are they called? The audience at the opera.
The audience, yeah.
Right, they
shout... Have you ever been to the opera?
Well, I've been to La Scala in Milan, but there's nobody in there except me. I just went round to have a look around.
So you've never been to the opera either?
Yes, I did.
You don't know why you don't know where they shout Bravo?
Yeah, I did. I went to Swan Lake at the Royal Opera House about 40 years ago.
Really?
Or who
was in it?
About 35, hey?
Who was in it?
Dame Margot Fontaine.
Really?
And I went with my girlfriend, who was a culture vulture.
Was she?
And
was she a secretary?
No, she wasn't. No, she was the daughter of a millionaire.
Was she?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
What about Sarah?
That was the
famous. More about Sarah.
That was the famous Corniche incident.
Oh yeah.
And they all shout "Bravo, bravo," and then throw flowers on the stage. You know, at a football match, you get thrown out for throwing things on the playing area. But anyway, there you go.
Yeah. I'm told Stephanie Turner is the woman you're looking for.
Stephanie Turner was in Juliet Bravo.
I presume so.
Well, I wasn't looking for her. You brought it up, not me.
Well, I just mentioned it.
You know, this came from the back of your head somewhere.
There's quite a few people commenting on that picture of you and Sarah, your new business partner. Right?
Yes.
One from...
No, our new business partner, if you don't mind.
You haven't explained any of this.
Well, I haven't had time. You haven't been around.
One by Lloyd, who says, Jonah Lumley's looking well.
Well, she's a very attractive woman, obviously, and fits into the image of the two Mikes extremely well, in my view.
And Jane says, is that the much-mentioned Rolex on old Porky's wrist? #lounge lizard. Did you put the Rolex on to impress her, then?
Not to impress her. It's just that's my most accurate watch, and I wanted to make sure that I was bang on time. You know, it's as simple as that.
Watch. David says, not another married woman. Tick, tick, tick. Morals of an alley cat.
No. I mean, honestly, there's nothing to worry about here. It was a straightforward business meeting. We had lunch, and then
what?
Repaired to the Savoy for
the American bar?
A cocktail, the American bar, actually, yeah. Actually, it was...
Did you let her buy you a drink?
Sorry?
Did you let her buy you a drink?
Well, it was all on company account type thing, so it wasn't a problem.
What do you mean company account?
Well, you know...
Well, that's our account.
Well, yeah.
Well, you're not paying for drinks with some floozy on my account.
Excuse me. Take that back and wash your mouth out.
Why?
I'm not going to have our new business part referred to in those sort of terms.
Harry
Please.
says this.
I'd like you to apologise.
I'm terribly sorry. I'm
Thank
going
you.
to take it all back. She
Thank
doesn't
you.
look at all like a floozy.
Thank you.
What on Lothario? More arms than an octopus, says Harry.
No. That was the photographer asked me.
No.
Anyway, look, this is all irrelevant. The point is...
We're talking about Pep Guardiola.
We certainly are talking
now,
about Pep Guardiola.
you said before the game that Manchester United would win. That was your prediction.
I
predicted a draw.
I thought they might.
I predicted a draw, which is actually what it probably ought to have been.
Yes.
Even though Manchester City were all over them in the first half.
Yes.
They should have had that penalty.
They should have, definitely.
And, to be honest, Bravo's mistake, caused by John Stones, by the way,
who
jumped up in front of him.
No, to be honest...
Well, why is he going to learn to have a conversation with the goalkeeper?
Well, this is what I'm saying. You say it was John Stones, but I think...
Well, it was John Stones.
No, but I think you'll find in every other aspect of the game, John Stones was outstanding.
Outstanding?
Oh, he's getting marks of up to 8 out of 10, honestly.
Really? From where?
Well, I'm looking at
Well,
a selection of this morning's newspapers.
Yeah, I see where you can find the 8 then.
Yeah.
So you gave the ball away a couple of times as well.
Strode through it all like a veteran, but a clash with the goalkeeper on Bravo led to United's goal. So
that's not an 8 then, is it?
Well, I'm saying the goalkeeper, I think, was more
Well, he should have made
he
probably should have made a bigger call.
Yeah, exactly.
No
Of course he should. Yeah.
But what it does mean is that he's not at one as yet with his back four, is he?
No, you're absolutely right. And the point is as well, if you win 2-1 at Old Trafford and your goalkeeper's had a flaky game, well, I mean that's good, isn't it?
And also they hit the post a couple of times, City. So I mean they could have scored
De Bruyne
more goals.
hit the post twice, didn't he? Including one that led to the second goal.
Did you get the sense, as some people would have done watching that game, that Jose Mourinho may be a bit past it now, and Pep Guardiola is not really in a position to even be compared as an equal to him anymore because he's way ahead?
Not really. What I saw there was that I think Pep Guardiola inherited a better squad and has built on it very wisely, whereas Jose has had to revolutionise more of his squad, and therefore not as much as...
He's paid out a lot of money for quite a few players.
But not as much as the United team has settled in. Pogba didn't have a great game, did he?
He had hardly any game at all.
In
fact, somebody put out a tweet with a "Where's Wally?" but it said "Where's Pogba?"
Is that right?
In a picture, because nobody could see what he was doing.
He needs to impose himself on games and become as good as De Bruyne was.
The other
Manchester
thing, and
City.
this may be more to do with Manchester United's squad, as you say.
Yes.
Jason Cundy put this out last night.
Yes.
Games before losing at home, managing Chelsea 77.
Right.
Games before losing at home, managing Manchester United 2.
2. Yeah, well that's true.
So that tells you a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, it tells you an awful lot of work there to be done for Jose Mourinho, who afterwards, by the way, and this was another point that was made by several experts this morning.
Yeah.
It's the first time that Jose Mourinho has ever turned on his players so early in a season or so early in a campaign.
Well, he said he wanted to substitute them after 20 minutes, but he didn't want to ruin their confidence.
Yeah,
so
he did.
Well, wouldn't he be ruining their confidence by saying that? Rather than actually doing it.
Yeah, I'm sure he has. You're absolutely right. I'm sure he has.
And why didn't he start with Rashford? I mean, that's the other obvious question.
Well, that is such an obvious question. Why didn't you start with Rashford? Ibrahimovic was okay.
Oh, you'd always play Ibrahimovic, wouldn't you?
Of course you would always play.
You play Rashford as well.
Yeah, you would play Rashford as well. And I totally agree. Because the thing is, if you think, well, Rashford will come on and he'll be like a bolt of thunder, no, a bolt of lightning actually, and a clap of thunder, a bolt of lightning as it comes on. But unfortunately, Manchester City had taken such control of the game by the time that Rashford came on.
Yeah.
They simply couldn't upset them. And not even Rashford coming on could unsettle Manchester City. And the other interesting thing was, by the way, did you see that before the game they did a man hug, right?
Yeah.
And then after the game, Mourinho wanted a man hug.
Well, they had a bit of a quick hug at the end.
But Pep seemed a little bit more reluctant to get involved.
Well, it's all about the macho business, isn't it? I mean, Pep Guardiola will now lord it over Mourinho for the rest of the season until Manchester United go to City. And if Manchester United don't beat City, then he will consider himself as having had a successful season.
Yes,
just by beating Jose Mourinho twice.
No, I totally agree. Blind was useless. I don't know.
Well, the whole back of Manchester United's defence was useless.
Yeah, but Blind, I mean, De Bruyne, his speed of thought should not have allowed him.
And he's another player that Mourinho let go, isn't he?
He is, yes, De Bruyne, yeah.
De Bruyne.
De Bruyne, that's right. He should not have even had the time to get past he got past the defender by almost sort of ignoring him, if you see what I mean. And he knew he was there, but he just got his foot in, flicked it quickly, and then he was through. And then his shot to score was perfect. Perfect in the sense...
Well, Manchester United looked like they weren't properly prepared for the game.
I totally agree.
And you'd have to blame Jose Mourinho for that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would agree.
Should we have a listen to what he said about it?
Yes.
Look, I made a couple of decisions that I thought the individual qualities of certain players would give me what I know that I want, and I didn't get it. Look, I didn't change after 20 minutes because I don't want to destroy the players. I didn't want to make 3 changes at half time because I was afraid in long 45 minutes somebody to happen. But if it was a sport with 3 number of changes and where the changes during the first half is something normal, like basketball and ball, this kind of stuff, I would do after 20 minutes. But I did at half time. We changed the direction of the game, but we didn't get the compensation I think we deserve in the second half. It was not just about them. Other players were not also playing really well, and obviously it's always my decision. I don't like to go in the direction of the players and single out players, and let's say our team didn't play well in the first half, and the responsibility is my responsibility at point.
He says it's his responsibility. Of course, Paul, who's a City fan, says, countering the Rooney penalty claim, if the ref had done his job, Rooney wouldn't have been on the pitch due to yellow cards.
No, I don't agree with that.
No, I'm not sure I agree with that.
No, I don't
either.
agree with that. Definitely not. No. The other manager who quite impressed me over the weekend was Mark Hughes.
Mark Hughes?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I'll tell you
He
why.
made a complete idiot of himself.
Well, he did. But the point is, I've always thought in the past, Mark Hughes has always found a reason why his team got beaten, and it's nothing to do with him. You know what I mean? But
well, it's usually to do with the referee, isn't it?
Well,
I mean, he does moan a lot about the referee.
He does. But anyway, the point of the story is, obviously, he lost his rag completely, he got sent to the stands and all that. But I saw him afterwards, on Match of the Day or whatever, and he said it was completely my fault. I lost control of myself. But he was also, and he was also trying to raise the volume of the crowd as he was being sent off. He was,
which I think is quite a dangerous tactic, actually.
Yeah, but I think he was completely immersed then in the severity of his position and the paucity of his team's play.
Well, yeah, but his encouraging of the fans to kind of boo the referee. Yeah. I think that may result in a bigger punishment. I think it should.
I think
you don't want to really encourage the fans to be anti the referee, do you?
I don't think. My interpretation of that was not he was encouraging the fans to be anti-referee. He was encouraging the fans to lift themselves. Come on, lift the team. Come on, because they were 2-0 down at the time, weren't they? I think. And mind you, I thought Spurs were superb. I thought
Spurs and Liverpool this weekend.
I totally
were
agree.
Fantastic.
This lad Son, right, who scored Spurs' first 2 goals, terrific player.
Yeah,
I mean,
amazing.
In the sense that
Korean, I think, right?
Korean. That's right. He doesn't need a first touch, and he doesn't need time to think.
Yeah. His first touch goes in.
Yeah, that's his first touch goes in. You're right. Yeah. And the point is, Chelsea playing this afternoon at 4:00.
Yeah.
Now, I think the pressure's all on them because
time, by the way.
Yeah. They're the last team contending for the Premier League title, unless you include Everton, who will go. No, don't laugh.
I am laughing.
If Everton win tomorrow night,
Everton are not going to win the title.
If Everton win tomorrow night,
they move against Sunderland.
Yes, that's right. They move to 2 points behind the leader. So don't start laughing.
Well, you've played 10% of the games.
Yeah, but let me just tell you this: they win tomorrow night, and they've got more points than Manchester United. Okay, following Manchester
but they're
City.
not going to win the league.
Well, you don't know that because Leicester did last season.
I'm going to tell you that right now.
But anyway,
we can have any bet you like.
What I'm saying is that Chelsea play at 4:00 today. Now, you're absolutely right in what you just said. They look back on the weekend's fixtures so far and they see Liverpool had a very dramatic and emphatic victory.
Yeah.
Manchester
against
City. Against the champions. Manchester City, dramatic victory away from home. Spurs, fantastic performance, really fantastic performance. And all these teams are going to be breathing down their neck. And they've got to come up with this afternoon at Swansea, which I don't think is the easiest game in the world.
I don't think it is. Well, no games are easy in the Premier League, as they say. We better stop talking because otherwise we'll get into big trouble with the producers. So, we've got lots more to talk about, including Arsenal, of course, who look as if they might be at the wrong end of this equation as well. This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on, of course. Chelsea going to Swansea a little bit later on. But first, let's go over to Jack Woodward, who's at Villa Park watching Villa against Nottingham Forest. Jack.
It's Villa 0, Forest 0, 34.
Thanks very much indeed, Jack. We'll be going back there, of course, coming up to half-time. Jonathan Kodja, by the way, is not the spelling you might expect. It's Kodjia.
Is it?
As opposed to Codger, which would be an unusual name for a footballer.
Yeah, why have you told me that?
Well, because I thought you might be thinking Kodja is a weird name for a footballer.
Like Old Codger?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Old Codgers.
Yeah, like you call people the Old Codger.
Somebody had a show called the Old Codgers, didn't they?
Was it us?
It could have been us, yeah. Or was it a strip in the Daily Mirror?
The Old Codgers? I don't know, actually.
I think it was.
I don't know.
I think it was.
I remember I used to refer to
Bill Tidy?
I used to refer to my father sometimes as the Old Codger.
The Old Codger, yeah. I think Bill Tidy is a legendary legendary
cartoonist.
Yeah, who invented the cloggies because he came from Rochdale, where people allegedly walk around in wooden clogs all the time. And I'm sure he wrote one called The Old Codgers.
Really?
I think he did.
It's possible. He's from the Ivory Coast anyway, this guy.
He is from the Ivory Coast. Now, listen, another issue I want to get onto, please, just while we're talking football.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
Don't forget we have to preview a little bit of the Everton game tomorrow night. I mean, you said if they win. I mean, they played Sunderland, right?
Yeah.
And Sunderland without Sam Allardyce.
Yeah, I think they should win.
Nothing like the team they were with Sam Allardyce.
I think they should win. There's a terrific story, by the way, knocking out this morning about Everton's defender, Ashley Williams. Right?
Yeah.
And when he was 9, he was a big Subbuteo fan. He wrote to Subbuteo.
I saw that story.
And said, why aren't there any black players in
and
your
then
England
they suddenly
team?
started putting them in.
Because his hero was John Barnes.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they wrote back or not, but the next time he went into a shop to buy an England team, there were black faces in it, which I think is a fantastic tribute to the guy.
He was very well ahead of his time.
Yeah,
of course, he was playing.
He
did used to play for Swansea, and without him, I think Swansea are not so much of a difficult team to beat.
I'm sure you're right.
When Chelsea go down, but what about David Moyes? I mean, David Moyes playing managing, I should say, Sunderland against his old club Everton.
Yes, and the only thing he seems to have said to me in the the pre-match build-up, and unfortunately when you play on Monday night, that has to happen on Friday, doesn't it? Because to catch the mood of things before the weekend games. Yeah. And the only thing I've seen him say is that he thinks Ross Barkley will still be a great footballer and a great England player. Yeah. Which I think was a bit odd, really, because I think David's a great guy and he did a fantastic job at Everton.
He is
for
a nice
years.
guy. But, I mean, he's tainted goods now, isn't he?
No, not by any stretch of the imagination. So? And in fact, David...
I'd love to know what Sunderland fans think of him so far. I don't think he's done much at all.
Well, he's had very little time to do anything. He was appointed very, very shortly before the start of the season. Yeah. He's had hardly any time at all to get his own team together. But the great thing about David Moyes is that where you saw, where you often see managers making excuses and everybody else is to blame except yourself, David Moyes, throughout the period he was Manchester United manager, never flinched from admitting it was my fault. I mean, he, terribly honest man, and that's why.
Maybe that's been his downfall.
Maybe it has, but maybe people have trusted him throughout his football career. I've never heard anybody say, never could do a straight deal with David Moyes. He used to say sometimes that Davey was a bit of a ditherer in the sense that they used to say, closing a deal on transfer or something like that. He'd sometimes go on and on forever, but to my mind, that was an interpretation of his thorough ability to assess a situation.
Now, before we go any further, we also need to just touch upon Arsenal because...
Well, I've got to talk to you about this. I've been trying to talk to you about it.
Well, you don't stop talking about other things, do you? I mean, you can't talk about everything all at the same time.
What was Arsene Wenger on when he expressed the view that Jack Wilshere could one day be the manager of Arsenal?
I think he's being cunning. I think what he's making Jack Wilshere think is that he's in his thoughts, right? I think what he's trying to do is to convince Jack Wilshere that not only is he sorry that he's gone, but he's really, really looking forward to the day that he comes back, when I think nothing can be further from the truth. Yeah. By pretending that he wants him to be the boss of Arsenal.
This is a mind game.
I think it's a total mind game, I don't think he wants to see Jack Wilshere again.
He says Jack is a world-class player who will be Arsenal captain. He doesn't say maybe, so he says he's coming back after a season on loan, and maybe he'll one day be in my seat. He's a real Arsenal man. I see him as the future of this club. I mean, I just cannot look at Jack Wilshere and those words that Arsene Wenger's just spoken and put the two together. I just can't see it.
Also, have they not seen at Arsenal what goes wrong when you let the guy who's been there for years and years and years and years pick the successor? That's what happened with the Manchester United. So Alex Ferguson was, David Moyes was the chosen one.
It's true.
And it was all going to be great, and it all fell apart within seconds.
It's true, but I mean, unless Arsene Wenger's planning on sticking around another 7 or 8 years, Jack Wilshere's not even going to be, doing junior team coaching, is he, in that sort of time? You know what I mean?
I don't think he wants him back. I think that's such a ridiculous thing to say.
Yes, you could be right.
He can't possibly mean it, can he?
Well, nobody can take it seriously.
No.
I mean, the most important thing you need as a manager is incredible self-discipline, because you are an island. You are a man on your own. Yeah. You've got the players on one hand.
Not a partner with someone like you and I are.
No, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm... Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, unless you're a Clough and...
You have to go and do everything off on your own, don't you?
Yeah, unless you're Clough and Taylor or something like that.
Which is not what we do, right?
No, we don't do that at all.
Apart from on Friday.
Well, I'm sorry, but I had to arrange some business affairs, and so I sought a business advisor.
How did the night end, by the way?
Very well, thank you.
Very well for whom?
Yeah, very civilised for everybody.
Yeah.
Now listen,
you went home on your own.
Excuse me. I just want to get back to the Arsene Wenger thing.
Yeah.
I don't know why he said that. I can't believe why he said it. But the point is, self-discipline is the one thing a manager needs.
Yeah.
The one thing Jack Wilshere does not seem to possess is self-discipline.
That's true.
If you're caught in situations where you're identified as being amongst people, some of whom have misbehaved outside a nightclub at 4 o'clock in the morning, when you're actually recovering from injury, that's not good.
Yeah.
If you're pitching in a swimming pool smoking a cigarette, that is not good.
No.
If you're having rows with your neighbours over, borders and
Being
gates,
accused of spitting at them.
and accused of spitting at them, that is not good. So the self-discipline situation, I think, is something Jack will have to work on if he's ever going to become an Arsenal manager. But I also believe...
Well, maybe Eddie Howe will be a good influence in that area.
Eddie Howe is incredibly self-disciplined, isn't he? Because, a manager has to be so self-disciplined. He's got the players on one hand, he's got to keep under total control. Some of the players are compliant, some are not, some are moaning, some are whinging, some want more money. You've got to deal with that. On the other hand, you've got to deal with the board of directors who are on your back all the time for greater results and more success and all that kind of stuff. Less money. And it's an incredibly difficult one. From all I've seen of Jack Wilshere so far, I would say he's got so little self-discipline, it would be dangerous if he wasn't a footballer.
Yes, you may well be right.
Because at least
we're out of time
at least the constraints of professional football make you have to do some things, like keep yourself reasonably fit.
Exactly right. Absolutely right. Couldn't agree more. Astonishing. We've been talking about an awful lot of stuff in the first hour. We've got loads more to do coming up in the second hour. More from Jack Woodward at Villa Park, of course. And we'll be talking to Steve Lillywhite, Grammy Award-winning record producer. He's a massive Chelsea fan. He'll tell us what he makes of this season's team. This is TalkSport. Good afternoon, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry. You're listening to Two Mikes on Talk Sport, and we've got loads going on. Chelsea are down in Swansea. Can they get 3 points to keep up with Pep Guardiola's new look Manchester City? Legendary Grammy Award-winning producer Steve Lillywhite joins us in this hour. Plus, we'll be keeping you updated on the two former giants of European football clashing in the Midlands. Nottingham Forest against Aston Villa. There's an awful lot of empty seats there at Villa Park, though. We'll keep you updated with any score. At the moment, there isn't one, though, either. 08717 22 3344. We've got another edition of Heroes and Villains coming up as well. You're listening to Two Mikes with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mikes, and of course, it is also, we should mention, Mr. Parry, the anniversary of 9/11. I was watching a couple of shows last night, as I tend to always do when they come on. But I actually switched them off at the end because it makes me really angry and sort of sad to watch them now. So
it does me.
They showed that amazing documentary, The Falling Man, again last night, and I just couldn't watch it. It's so heartbreaking and awful, dreadful.
Obviously, you've got to salute it. It's 15-year commemoration. Yeah. So many people died.
Yeah.
All the facts.
Well, it also changed the world.
It changed the world, and the facts are known, and that kind of stuff. And in fact, I spent about 7 or 8 hours on air, live, continuously, talking everybody through that, because in those days communications weren't as good, and I was probably the only person here who'd lived in New York, and quite apart from anything else, people wanted to know the geography of what Manhattan was all about, and where was this happening, and how did it affect the rest of the state of New York and the city of New York, and it was an amazing experience, but now I want to forget about it, to be honest. I mean, it's not that I don't believe in commemorating these things.
No, of course not. No,
but to me, the world's got to move on. And I saw a terrible story. You might have seen it as well, about some Brits who went over there to
those idiotic stag do people.
Idiotic stag do people who went and out of curiosity.
I mean, how absolutely and utterly pathetic is that?
Out of curiosity and interest, went down to Ground Zero, where, of course, there's not just a new building.
There's a museum now.
And a memorial.
There's the Freedom Tower. There's also they kept the footprints of the original buildings. There's a waterfall, all the names of the people that died.
That's right, and they turn up with a blow-up naked doll, and it's pathetic, honestly. And,
I know. It just makes you want to weep, really, doesn't it?
Makes you want to weep, and to change your country. But, we'll never forget what happened there, because the world has been shaped around what happened there ever since, and it's not been a better world since 9/11.
No, it certainly hasn't. Rob says this: MG's agreeing with you a lot today, Porky. Very suspicious.
Yeah.
I'd say he's after something like, has Steph got any friends? Hashtag Alleycat. Well,
Steph.
I think he means Sarah.
Yeah, I think he does. Yeah. Well, let's
Your
get
new
the name
business
right.
partner.
Yeah. Now, listen. In a second, I'm going to talk to you about stadium tours at clubs. Okay.
Stadium tours.
Stadium tours, in my view, when fans.
Have you ever been on a stadium tour?
Yes, I have actually. I'll tell you about it in a sec. Yeah. When fans turn up and most of them are school kids and all that kind of stuff, they want to be taken around the the stadium, and fans pay such huge amounts now for ticket prices and all that. I think it should be free. But some clubs charge up to £20. So,
well, I mean, the problem with making it free is that, one, you'd have a massive number of people who would want to go and not pay.
It's first come, first served, the first 50 each day. So
well, yeah, but also
stop.
they're not always just fans of the club, are they? They might be, I mean, for example, if you want to go and tour the new camp, you're not necessarily a Barcelona fan. You just want to go and see one of the great stadiums of the world.
Exactly, there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, why shouldn't you pay?
Well, I don't think you should. I think
ridiculous.
I think football's
That's
a people's sport. But anyway, look, before that, I've got to talk to you about something, because this is going to... Now, for the rest of the week, we're back to our overnight show. Okay?
We are, yes.
And that'll be from 1 a.m. to 4.
4, yes.
And that'll be the two of us just doing 1 to 4, and then we will push off and leave it to other people.
Yes.
So you...
No. Why do you always have to go into such detail?
Well, no. You won't be doing another 2 hours.
No, I
after
won't
me.
be, no.
That's what I'm saying.
No, because I'll be exhausted.
Revolutionary
listening to you.
Wise, we're going to do it.
You might say a waste of money for the actual ticket price as well, judging by the action we've seen in the first half.
Well, also, there's not a huge crowd there.
Well, there's a massive number of empty seats.
No, that's a new little... What do we call that? The Henry VIII syndrome.
I don't know what you would call that.
Yeah. That's akin to another one which has caught the imagination of a lot of our colleagues. Is it going to be a Desmond?
A Desmond?
A 2-2.
Oh, yeah, right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's another one which is...
Well, I mean, the sort of thing you can only use once, really.
Exactly. Anyway, listen, I told you I was going to tell you about... Because we'll be doing those hours, which work very well in a lot of circumstances, we're going to be talking to a chap called Peter Woolhaben.
Peter Woolhaben?
Yeah, he's written a book called The Hidden Life of Trees, and guess what he has confirmed that I've been telling you for years?
What's that?
Trees talk to each other.
Really?
Trees
you haven't
communicate
said
with
that.
each other.
No, you've never said that.
I have said
you
that.
Haven't. What you've said is that you see the trees waving at you.
Yes.
You know, as usual, you put yourself in the middle of the story.
No.
Maybe they're waving at each other.
When I'm sitting in my penthouse and it's sort of autumn and the...
Are you above the trees in your penthouse?
No, I'm on the same level as them.
So not very high then?
No. The top of a tree is pretty high, believe me. If you fall out of the top of a tree,
yeah, but a penthouse
you feel it.
Should be above the trees.
Well, it is above, looking down on them, so to speak. But anyway, the point I'm making, I've said in the past two things. I've said, one, I believe those trees are communicating with me because I wave back at them.
Yeah.
And I mean that sincerely because...
Even when you're sober?
I'm usually sober, and that to me is man and nature in communication,
really?
Right?
Yeah.
But the other thing is, I've said for years, haven't I, that I've said that roots go down so deeply into the earth that undoubtedly the roots of trees in a forest and things like that intertwine with each other.
What does your man with the tree knowledge say about that? Because that's absolutely not a codswallop.
Well, no.
There's no chance of roots contacting each other under the ground across the centre of the earth.
No, I have not been able to read the full book yet, but I'm going to tell you, we're going to invite this gentleman on. He's from the University of British Columbia in Vancouver.
There's a lot of trees there.
And they're about 8 hours behind, so we'll be talking to him sort of his working afternoon, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. Because I've been saying it for years. I mean, any long-term listener to Talk Sport, please send some confirmation to me in some way, a tweet or something like that. You know that I've been saying for years.
Give out the Twitter address then.
Hey?
Give out the Twitter address.
Right, the Twitter address is at Mike Parry 8 or at IROMG, Independent Republic of Mike Graham. Or at the two mics, please.
At the two mics would be best.
But you know, because you've been listening to me, dedicated followers, I've been saying for years, trees definitely communicate with each other.
Yeah.
And they communicate with humans. And now the evidence is all there from an expert.
Well, the expert says they communicate with each other, which is not what you said. And he also doesn't say that they're connected underground across the world. So we'll find out when we talk to him just how wrong you've been all these years.
Indeed.
How about this from somebody calling himself Sir Isaac Newton?
Oh, yes.
Who's obviously got some kind of, sort of disorder or other. He says, turn on Talk Sport. Here's the two mics are on. Switches off.
Right? Why?
Well, apparently he doesn't like us.
Really? Is that right?
But I mean,
well, he's in a minority.
Calls himself Sir Isaac Newton. Maybe he's going to sit under one of those trees, see if an apple falls on his head.
And that might right his brain.
He could do.
Might start thinking sensibly.
Clearly not feeling very well.
Yeah, not feeling very well at all. He probably doesn't even know who Sir Isaac Newton is.
No, he probably doesn't.
Anyway, that's by the by.
Emma says this. I totally agree with the Porkmeister on Jack Wilshere and Arsenal. Hashtag Porky Sense.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much
there
indeed.
You go.
Now, I was going to talk to you about stadium tours. Okay?
Stadium tours, yeah.
So here we go.
So which ones have you been on then?
Well, the only one I've ever been on is Celtic.
Have you?
Now, the reason for that is that...
Paradise.
What?
Paradise.
Paradise.
It's called Paradise.
What is
It's known as Paradise, Parkhead.
Oh, is it? Oh,
you didn't know that?
No, well, I didn't refer to it as that. No, I have some mates in Glasgow.
Do you?
Which
we're doing a show in Glasgow in December.
We are doing a show in Glasgow, and I will extend an invitation to them. I said last year, but last year they were busy. But what day is it? 19th of December.
17th.
Oh, 17th of December, that's right. And I think you put the link out, haven't you?
It's a Saturday,
So
yes.
I'll retweet that out.
Thank you.
Okay. Of course, the next one's Whitley Bay.
Yeah, it is.
2 weeks last night.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Get the train up and down.
And we are.
Because we've got to get back here to do a show
Yeah,
on
exactly.
Sunday. Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to just empty out the contents of your diary and tell everybody what you're doing every day?
No.
So the time, by the way.
So it was an evening game, right, at Celtic Park, and it was an Old Firm game.
Uh-huh.
And my mate said, look, come along, a couple of hours earlier this afternoon, because, funny enough, they run a scaffolding business, and the name's Kilcoins, and they're very successful.
Are they?
And the yard used to be...
relevant.
Yeah, it is relevant, because it used to be next to Celtic Park. That's why they built it there, because they were avid fans.
Right.
And we stood by that monument of the priest who founded Celtic.
Uh-huh.
You know
the
his
statue,
name?
yes.
You know his name?
I can't remember his name. Father somebody or other.
Yeah, Father. It is Father somebody. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely right. And then...
Is it Brennan?
No, not Brennan. No, definitely not. No. And then you go off on the tour, and you go through the trophy room. You see the European Cup and all that. You see the legendary, history and
plenty of trophies there.
Oh, plenty of trophies there, and it's magnificent, honestly, to look at the depth of heritage of a club like that. And I have to say, very satisfying indeed.
Yeah.
I've never done the Everton one because I've never really had time. And I like to think that I know quite a bit about my own club anyway.
Yeah.
But it would be
Maybe
great.
you should do the tours. Maybe you should actually conduct them.
I'll tell you what, I went to Anfield once because Everton were playing there, and one of the, like the chief exec or somebody at Anfield took me into the Liverpool Museum.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to say, it's very impressive.
I bet it is,
obviously, you'd...
I see they've been able to put the This Is Anfield sign back up as well, which I didn't realise they'd had to remove, but I think during the process of refurbishing the stand, they'd had to take it down.
No, I'll tell you what it is. During the rebuilding of the stand, where they wrapped, a whole new stand around the existing one, they've shifted the tunnel about 6 feet from being off centre with the centre line, with the halfway line, back to the halfway line.
Ah, okay.
It was about 6 feet off.
Okay.
And so all they've done is they took the sign down when they moved the tunnel and put it back up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's a massively famous sign.
Of course it is, It was the first one ever. All sorts of people have got it now. But This Is Anfield was invented by Bill
I saw one.
Shankly.
I'm pretty sure I saw one. They've now got one at Loftus Road. This is QPR.
Oh, right.
And you kind of go, so what? It's not really the same, is it?
It's not really the same.
I mean, This Is Anfield. It has a ring to it.
It
This is
certainly
QPR.
does.
I'm sorry if you're a QPR fan. It doesn't really.
That's a bit harsh.
This is Talk Sport.
Every game is very tough. Every game you must face with a great tension, and you must understand that if you haven't the right attention, anything can happen. We saw this in the cup against Bristol. Yeah, it's very tough. It's very tough, and we must pay attention, great attention, always.
Antonio Conte there, speaking ahead of Chelsea's visit to Swansea, of course, without Ashley Williams. He's now gone to Everton, and you'd have to say that Chelsea big favourites for this game. But they need the 3 points, obviously, to keep up with Pep Guardiola.
They certainly
is it too early for you to retract what you said about Guardiola before the season started?
What did I say?
Which was that basically you thought he was a bit of a kind of laissez-faire kind of boulevardier, I suppose, for want of a better word.
Yeah, but that doesn't
Somebody
make him
who
a
just
bad coach.
Swans around wearing Banana Republic clothes.
Yeah.
Did you see he had his proper suit on yesterday?
Yeah, I
by
did.
the way?
Yeah.
You were not a fan of his, right? You
No,
were
I
very
didn't
clear.
say that.
You said you did not think he'd be a success in the Premier League.
I didn't say that.
You said that you thought he had the look of somebody who gets grumpy at press conferences.
I never said that.
And they're top of the league.
No, I never said that.
Yes,
I
you
said,
did.
I didn't. I said he's brought a whole new image to the Premier League.
No, you said that you didn't like the look of him.
I did not say that. I said that it'll all take time for us to adjust.
You said he'd done nothing at Bayern Munich. All he'd done is do exactly what every manager at Bayern Munich does, which is win the
that's
Bundesliga.
true, isn't it?
It's not untrue.
Yeah,
but what I'm
exactly.
saying is you were dismissive of his time in Germany.
No, I wasn't.
And you also said that he was a very successful coach of a very good team in Barcelona, which even you could have brought to European championships
all that
with.
sort of stuff. Look, it'll be a real testing time for him at Manchester City because here...
Well, he seems to be passing the test so far.
Well, yes, domestically, but of course the problem we've got is that our clubs are way behind now in the gravitas that surrounds European clubs. No club in this country now, because Manchester United have slipped back, no club in this country now has the same sort of standing, reputation and panache of Barcelona, Real Madrid or Bayern Munich. I'm afraid that's the case.
Well, I mean, Manchester City, if they play the way they played this weekend, could well bring that panache to the Premier League.
Well, they could. I agree with that. But at the moment, I don't think it's there. Can I just very quickly, please, finish telling you about these stadium tours? Because
are you still going on about that?
No, it is important.
Well, what's the story?
Arsenal charged 20 quid.
Yes.
Everton, my club, they charged 12.
Right.
Swansea,
it's about right, isn't it?
Swansea 10.
Right, it's probably about right.
Hull 5.
Yep.
Bournemouth, Crystal Palace and Watford don't charge.
Okay.
Now, that is great. That is great.
Well, it doesn't take long to go around the Bournemouth Stadium, does it?
Well, that's a bit harsh.
Well, it's a very small stadium.
It is a small stadium, but nevertheless, there's plenty to see in there because they've they've got quite an interesting history. It's not as glorious as some of the clubs at the top of the Premier League, obviously. But
well, you would expect Arsenal to charge probably the most money because they've got one of the newest and biggest stadiums.
Yes.
And they've got an awful lot of things to tell you about.
Yeah, Arsenal 20, Tottenham
if you go to
20.
Hull, what are they going to tell you about Hull?
Well, they tell you about their history. Presumably it's mostly Hull fans who go round, so they want to know. Burnley, £10.
Yeah.
Sunderland, £10.
So
Liverpool.
You get a special voice, when you go to the museums, you can hear those.
Phil Dyche.
Yeah.
Phil Dyche, yeah. Hope you're enjoying your tour of the stadium because I'm telling you, we're going to win on Saturday, and that's a promise. That's a promise, kids. All right, we'll win on Saturday. If we don't, we'll go down and get relegated, but I'll get us back.
Actually, it'd be great, wouldn't it, if you could get... You know the things I'm talking about? You can buy them as you go round to, say, an art gallery.
Yes, that's right, yes.
And you plug yourself in, you get headphones.
Yes, that's right.
And instead of hearing the voice of the person giving you the tour, you could hear the voice... You could do Celtic, you could have Brendan Rodgers.
That's right, you could, yeah. Yeah, I'm telling you. Anyway, all I'm saying is that I think all clubs should...
This is the greatest stadium.
Yeah. This is the greatest stadium in the world. It's world famous.
He did say this weekend, by the way, that Celtic are a bigger club than most clubs in the Premier League.
Yeah, he did, yeah. Yeah, I know.
He's probably not wrong about that.
Well, no, what he meant is, on fan base, I would accept that, because Celtic, because of their incredible heritage and history, have got a worldwide fan base to rival Manchester United, I think. And very few Premier League clubs can match that. But in terms of their presence in the British Isles, they're not as big as, really, Aston Villa now, are they?
What, Celtic?
Yeah.
Well, no, they're in the Champions League, I keep telling you.
Yeah, I know that.
They're in the Champions League group stage.
Yeah,
that means they're going to be playing, an awful lot of games in the Champions League.
If you transplanted them from Scotland to England, they would...
Well,
they'd survive in the Championship, but probably not in the Premiership.
You say, you can't have it both ways. You telling me with one minute that any club can become a Premier League top 4 club because they get the amount of money that they would get.
Yes.
If Celtic were in the Premier League, they would get a lot more money.
Totally agree.
They would have a lot more investment. They'd be able to sign more players. So therefore, anything's possible.
No, I totally agree with you. If Celtic had the same resources available to them as any Premier League club,
that's what I mean.
With the fan base they have, they would be giants.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree.
Well, you just said they'd be in the Championship.
They'd have to start in the Championship. The current team, team they field, even the one that beat Rangers 5-1, would have to start in this country in the Championship.
I don't know.
Simple as that.
I'm not sure if that's true.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they grow very quickly, I agree.
Let me read you a couple more tweets. One from Dan, who says, lads, I love listening to you. Can you give a big shout-out to my football team, Red Star Royals? Big win today.
Where are they?
I don't know.
Is that anything to do with Reading?
He's from Brentwood, so maybe they're in Essex.
Oh, maybe they are, yeah, OK. Well, yeah, good luck to whatever team that is,
Red Star Royals.
Red Star Royals, hope they do well.
And Smudger says this, the sign at QPR is to remind our own players who they play for. Sometimes they forget.
So?
You want me to read it again?
Sorry, yeah.
The sign at QPR is to remind our own players who they play for.
I see, right,
Sometimes they forget.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, with the fact that, once again, I read the reiteration of Chelsea's on-loan policy, 38 players out on loan, perhaps players do need reminding who they play for these days, because that loan policy, crikey, when's somebody going to get a grip of that?
Well, that's something that a lot of people complain about, that it's not right, and it supposedly is one of the reasons why, of course, not so many young English players come through. But, you know what I'm amazed at as well?
What are you amazed at? Good God, I can't believe you're amazed at something.
Yeah, well, thank you for listening at least to something I've said, as opposed to just staring off into the distance.
Yes, go on.
The point about, just before the Euros, do you remember, cast your mind back to just before the Euros, when the England team, led by Roy Hodgson, was described as the best young England team in generations, right? Yeah. Not only the best young England team, but the youngest team ever to appear at the Euros, okay? Yeah. As soon as it all went horribly wrong, now everyone says, oh, yeah, but the trouble is there's not much of a pool of players to choose from.
Yeah.
So which is it?
Which is it?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what it is. Sam Allardyce has got to answer that question in the next 18 months.
Well, they're going to play Malta next, haven't they?
Yeah, that's right. And he really has. Now, listen, talking about money in football and all that, another issue
You're not interested in anything I ask you.
I am very interested.
No, you're not. I can see how dismissive you are.
No, I'm not dismissive, but I think that was a question that didn't have a definitive answer, that's all.
Well, I asked you for an answer.
So you go round in circles. I answered it. I said Sam Allardyce will sort that out.
Well, which is it, though? Is it the best young England team in generations, or haven't we got enough players? Which is it? It can't be both, can it?
I think. Yes. You see, the reason I said Sam Allardyce was ordered out, I think you've got some outstanding players, including Ross Barkley, which he's got to work on. He's got to work on.
Yeah.
He's got to work on. Now, what I want to talk to you about, of course, is this situation regarding Roberto Martinez.
Oh yeah,
£10 million
the Belgian manager
payoff. £10 million payoff from Everton.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he deserved that. You said he was a good servant to Everton.
Yeah, but
when he was there.
I didn't. I said David Moyes was a great servant to Everton. I didn't necessarily.
Well, he got a few million off him as well, didn't he?
Well, of course. No.
While he was there.
No, he didn't.
No, but while he was there.
While he was there, he did. But of course, he left. He wasn't asked to leave, so he didn't take any payoff or anything like that.
Yeah.
But Martinez allegedly got a 5-year deal worth £4 million a year. After a successful first season, and has apparently, according to reports, and I haven't been able to verify independently the reports, but I've no reason to doubt them. They published in a newspaper in good faith that he took £10 million.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. I mean, crazy contracts. I think David Moyes, but I don't know. I think there was a breaker contract, a breaker clause in his contract that, if it did come to it, because he got a very long contract at about the same money, about £4.5 million a year.
Are you talking about from Man United?
From Manchester United.
Right.
I think the deal was he left with 1 year's money.
Yes.
And that's what I'm told he did. That's all the reports I've read.
Sure, but because he was fired. I mean, you have to get compensated if you get fired.
Of course you do, yeah. Well, if somebody's said, I believe in you and I put my faith in you and here's a contract for 3 years, then basically you deserve every penny of that contract because you put your life on hold to all intents and purposes except for your employers who are paying you that money.
Exactly.
You're not looking elsewhere. So, of course, you've got to honour contracts. But I still think that contract at Everton maybe should have had a breaker in it or something like that. I don't know. Who knows how it was...
What, you're talking about Martinez?
Yeah, I'm talking about Martinez.
Yeah, but I mean, he was also fired, wasn't he?
Yes, he was fired,
for failing, basically, and not being able to do anything with the team.
But the price of failure, allegedly, or to report, is £10 million. That's just too much.
That happens all the time, though, now, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course it does,
what about that woman who was in charge of that health place up in somewhere in the Midlands, right, wasn't it? Who got fired for gross inefficiency and then got rehired as a special consultant on the same money.
They looked at her record, right, and they said that this is the story you're talking about. Looked at her record and they said, she's not really up to it, so we're going to
not only that, but as a result of her bad running of the organisation, people were actually dying.
People had died. So what do? They say to her, it's all over. She then goes and gets a lawyer who comes back and says she will fight this tooth and nail.
Yeah.
So in order not to cost more than her annual salary of £240,000 a year, they invented a job. They didn't fill a current vacancy. They invented a job to pay her exactly the same amount in another position to save them getting involved in a multi-million-pound legal battle. To ask her to go.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's ludicrous.
The world has gone mad.
But that's where we are now. That's the point. I mean, the problem for you and I is that, if you get fired now, all you get is your contract. So you've either got a very good contract
I totally agree.
or get a new lawyer.
I totally agree. Why is the colour of the walls in our studio changing every 30 seconds?
I think there is. It's on that thing. It's now violet, isn't it? It's purple.
It's gone from red to orange to blue.
Does it bother you? I can have them fix it on one colour if you want.
No, the last time this happened to me, right, I was on the Disney cruise ship from Florida down to the Bahamas.
The Disney cruise ship?
The Disney cruise ship,
What were you doing on that?
I was invited onto it, and...
Did it have loads of, people dressed up as Mickey Mouse?
Yes, it did. Well, in fact, on the main bulwark of the ship, there are a huge pair of Mickey Mouse ears.
Really?
On each side of the tunnel.
That's a bit embarrassing, isn't it?
On each side of the funnel, not the tunnel.
Was it for
the funnel?
The funnel?
The funnel,
Not the tunnel.
Not the tunnel, the funnel. Yeah. Tunnels in football grounds, funnels on cruise ships.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, not exactly next to the funnel, but I mean, like on the superstructure.
Well, the golf courses in Vegas, the Disney golf courses, have got bunkers shaped like Mickey Mouse.
Have they really? Yeah, it's amazing.
It's a bit pathetic, really.
But anyway, it was revolutionary at the time. This is probably. It's probably going back.
The time, by the way.
Yeah, but don't worry about the time.
Steve Lillywhite.
Yeah, great, that's good. Probably going back 20 years. And when we got in the dining room that night, and I was with my very dear old friend, Sue. Carroll.
Sue Carroll.
Who we went to see in hospital, sadly, before she lost her life to pancreatic cancer. But she's a lovely girl.
Yeah, she was.
And she was on the same crew. And we were dining in the restaurant, and the walls started changing colour. It was revolutionary at the time because we'd never seen it before.
Right.
And all the lights...
this wasn't a result of intake of blenderisation?
No.
Juice.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of that because these PR people play you as much booze as you want, those sort of things. But no, I mean, they did, and it was quite revolutionary. But this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Now, is this meant to...
It doesn't bother me at all. I don't even notice it.
It's not. This is not some mind-bending, sort of plot. Is it?
Send you mad.
Yeah, or to,
Well, now that people know that you don't like it, they do it all the time.
To try and skew my thinking pattern or anything like that, is it?
Well, not unless if it's bothering you can fix it on one colour, I think.
No, it's
Would
not
you
bothering
prefer
me.
that?
Well, I always like blue. My whole house is in blue, so we should... You see, stop it there now on that blue. That's great.
You like that?
That'd be brilliant.
Okay,
yeah.
all right, we'll see if we can do that.
Good man.
Coming up next, we're going to talk to Steve Lillywhite about Chelsea.
Yeah.
They played Swansea at 4 o'clock, of course. We'll keep you updated with the so far 0-0 game that's going on at Villa Park. I'm surprised there's still as many people sitting there as there are, actually. This is Talk Sport.
I can't believe the news today. Oh, I can't close my eyes and make it go away. How long must we sing this song? How long?
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics, and it's time to go live to Singapore to talk to our favourite record producer of all time, Mr. Steve Lillywhite. Steve, very good afternoon to you.
Hello, boys. How's it going? Hi, Mike, and hi, Mike.
Yeah, hi, Steve. Thank you for joining us today. It's going pretty well, but a big, big test for Chelsea, Steve, because I know that you're a lifelong fan, but the pressure's on them now because Liverpool and Manchester City and Spurs have all had already outstanding weekends.
No, you're right, and I don't think we're going to see a better season of Premier League football this season. I mean, it's quite amazing. You know, I mean, I think Leicester, to be honest, are probably falling back to their rightful place in the world.
Oh, that's a bit harsh. It's a bit harsh.
Oh.
It's very snobbish,
well,
isn't it? I'm a Chelsea fan, and that other team in blue don't rate, eh?
No, but even your team, Mr. Parry,
Yes.
your team. Look, there's some green shoots of recovery right
Definitely.
there.
Oh, I totally agree. Tomorrow night we're playing Sunderland. We get 3 points there, and we're breathing down everybody's neck.
No, absolutely. This is going to be the best season. I mean, I think, to be honest, it will probably be. Manchester City are looking fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, Chelsea. I have to say, I was always a big fan of David Luiz.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so happy he's back. He's a natural leader, and I thought when he was with Chelsea last time, he was going to be taking over the captaincy from JT,
Yep.
and they were going to build the team a little bit defensively around him.
It's amazing. We were just talking earlier about imagine the chances of these two teams. I mean, they haven't played this century against each other. It's the first time I think they've played at Villa Park in something like 12 years. And I mean, it's just an incredible kind of scene, really. That two former European champions could be where they are.
Oh, and it's another nail in the Collymore coffin.
Yes, well, indeed. I suppose so. Now, what were you saying?
Yeah.
When you were talking about David Luiz, right, I thought, for example, that you might say it was a bit curious bringing him back.
No, I think he wasn't our first choice from the sort of gossipy things I've read, but no, I always thought he was he was a little bit naive, but as a football talent, I think age will make him. We've got him for maybe 3 or 4 years where we will see the best of David Luiz, and I'm very excited to have him back. And if Hazard and Willian and Costa can keep going, who was our last win against? It was a fantastic. I mean, we were playing West Ham. It was. I think it was the West Ham.
Was it West Ham or was it Burnley?
Oh, it was. No, it wasn't Burnley. We haven't played them yet.
No?
Or was it Burnley? Anyway, we played really well. And but I think Man City are the team to beat because I think they'll be consistent. And obviously, Man United, Jose will get the best out of them. I don't think he's going to be playing Juan Mata that much, and I think that might psychologically affect that team because he's going to be in the squad, and everyone knows that Jose doesn't like him. So that's going to be and they're a bit of a kick, and Fellaini is not. He's a good player, but I don't see Man United.
No, I totally agree.
Right up there.
I totally agree with you, Steve. What you're saying there is that the other teams have got some outstanding players. I'm trying to work out who the outstanding player at Manchester United is.
I think it's Rashford, isn't it?
Well, I think it's Rashford, who didn't even start yesterday. I think the iconic player is Ibrahimovic. But unless Pogba explodes into brilliant form, then United haven't got that, that powerhouse that's going to drive them forward. He's not like De Bruyne at Manchester City, who was brilliant.
I was absolutely going to mention De Bruyne. De Bruyne yesterday was spectacular.
Yeah.
I thought he was so powerful and so quick. And Pogba was okay yesterday, but I didn't see his money But, Jose's teams are always difficult to beat, so I think they'll be up there. But, and then you've got Tottenham, who's had I think Mark Hughes is going to be looking behind his back at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he had a terrible day yesterday. Got sent to the stands, got beaten 4-0. And sometimes, Mark Hughes is running out of excuses. You think he's exhausted all the excuses.
Bottom of the league after 4 games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's not good. It's not good.
And what do you make of Antonio Conte's sort of start to the Premier League? Because I mean, we all knew there was going to be these great managers this year. Pep Guardiola, Jose Mourinho, now Conte as well.
Well, I think we're seeing Guardiola really coming through with Man City. When I was watching that game yesterday, I thought it was like a European game. It was amazing. And Conte, again, he's passionate. It's early, it's only 3 games. But and we have not played really great clubs yet. And again with Swansea, we're not going to it's not going to be the biggest test because I think there's probably 7 or 8 clubs in one league and the rest in another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's
which is a lot more than in any other league in the world.
No, exactly right. I totally agree.
So I mean, Chelsea. You'd expect Chelsea to get 3 points this week, then, wouldn't you? Today.
Yes, I think so.
I think it's going to be a tough game.
Well, Swansea have moments where they look really good.
Yeah.
And other times where they're just very leaky, So,
well, we took the best defender off them at Everton. We've got Ashley Williams. He's playing tomorrow night for Everton against Sunderland, so that may weaken them. But it's vitally important, Steve, with the sparkling performances of the teams we've already mentioned, that for Chelsea to keep up, they've got to get 3 points today. It'd be a disaster, anything less.
Yeah, I think it would be. I think, it's... Look, it's not a disaster for Man United, but they lost at home, and that's not a good thing. And we'll see. Arsenal. We haven't even mentioned Arsenal.
Well, isn't that interesting?
Who would have thought?
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Nobody believes in Arsenal anymore.
Yeah. Do you think they'll make top 4?
No.
Well,
I don't.
When you look at Spurs, Liverpool and City this weekend, think that Chelsea are playing this afternoon, think that there's going to be an interloper. That might be Everton or, maybe West Ham will pull it together or something like that. I think Arsenal are going to fight for a top 4 place this season, very much so.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be West Ham because they're playing away every single game.
How do you mean?
Because it means the new stadium.
Yeah.
The new stadium, yeah.
So.
So it's going to take them a while to bed in. I'd actually put a fiver on West Ham going down this season.
Blimey.
Well, I mean, they were 2-0 up yesterday, managed to lose 4-2. So, I mean, it doesn't bode particularly well. Now, Steve, as ever, we normally get involved in a bit of a musical chat with you as well. But unfortunately, the top headline this week seems to be that Busted are making a new album. And I'm not sure you'd want to say anything about that, really.
Oh, the new Busted album. We've all been waiting for it, haven't we?
Yeah.
Wasn't there a there wasn't Busted and McFly together at one point?
I think they might have been, but not exactly a super group, you'd have to say.
No, and also ran at the best of times. But talking about supergroups, I might have some very good news for you in the next week or two.
Oh right.
Because I've been doing a little bit of work with some old friends of mine. I can't say who.
Oh yeah.
But,
not old Bono.
Oh, Bonio, as you would say there, Mike. But no, his name is not Bono; it's Bono.
I know that.
And but we'll see. But it's But I've been working on something really special, and it's a great song. And
well, that's fantastic. And Steve, we can impress you, by the way. We can impress you. I mean, you have literally worked with the giants of the music business for 2 or 3 decades. Guess who we had on our show here just last week? The Bay City Rollers lead singer, McEwen.
Les McEwen.
Les McEwen.
How was he? How was that dear boy?
Well, he was in great shape.
Well, he's a friend of ours is putting him back on the road. They did a Bay City Rollers tour.
Yep.
And the one thing that he did do, which nobody else was able to do, is he managed to predict the score absolutely correctly between Scotland and Malta, even though he said he didn't really know much about football.
Yeah. He did. He said, it'd be 5-1. Yeah.
I'm always worried about those kids who had a slightly dodgy manager and who,
yes.
Oh, that's a bit harsh.
Didn't read. What's that?
That was a bit harsh.
Well, it's not very harsh at all. Actually, you went to prison. I wouldn't say it was harsh.
Exactly.
Yeah, Yes, he went to.
Yeah.
He was a questionable
Very
man.
questionable.
And, you know, I'm sure Les didn't make the money. Didn't make what he deserved to make from that band for all his efforts.
No, I think that's
but,
absolutely right.
that's great that he's doing well.
And can I just say to you, Steve, because there's been a week or so of it now, because of this new Beatles film that's coming out 8 days a week, massive coverage again of the Beatles. Do you think anybody will ever get over the Beatles?
You know what? I just had my dinner and I was talking to someone and I said exactly the same thing. I said I don't think there will ever be anyone with such a big impact on culture that the Beatles had.
Yes.
And no, they were. Oh, it's still now, you know, to 8-year-old, 10-year-old kids. They listen to the Beatles song once, and I've always said a band with just Paul McCartney or just John Lennon, or even actually just George Harrison, would have been a great band.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yeah, but put all of those together with George Martin, and you just had this wonderful, you know, these things don't happen.
Yeah,
once in a lifetime.
Absolutely,
tremendous stuff.
Indeed,
well, Steve, listen, as ever, thank you very much indeed for taking the time to talk to us. Good luck with the project, the secret project.
And tell us first. Tell us first, please.
And we'll maybe get you on when it's all ready to be heard. Perhaps.
Indeed.
Yes, I will let you all know about that one. Yeah. And go you Blues! Come on.
Okay,
excellent stuff.
We'll keep an eye on it
Steve,
this afternoon. Thank you very much, Steve.
Steve Lillywhite there reporting to us from Singapore ahead of the Chelsea game. Of course, we'll be going down to Swansea a little bit later on in the show to get some team news. But there's an interesting bit of team news from Torino that we've just been shown, where Joe Hart is playing today.
Yes.
And the actual official team sheet lists the goalkeeper of Torino as John Hart.
Yes, exactly.
So they haven't quite got his name right.
You don't
there,
think they're thinking about John Hart's son, do you?
Maybe they are thinking of John Hart's son. Yeah, absolutely right. Lots more to come. We're the Two Mics. This is Talk Sport. Talk Sport, we are the Two Mics. We're watching the game at Villa Park. It's still 1-0 to Nottingham Forest. There's about 20 minutes to go. We want to hear from Villa fans and from Nottingham Forest fans, of course. 08717 22 3344. Currently 1 point off relegation, Villa. And if they get no points here, they will still be 1 point off relegation, obviously.
Exactly.
There's a goal.
I think we're going to Villa Park.
There's a goal at Villa Park, Jack.
And they have equalised. It's Ross McCormack in front of the Holt end. Jack Grealish. It's Villa 1, Forest 1.
Well, there we are.
There you
we
go.
certainly jinxed that one.
Yeah, we certainly did.
I just said, I didn't look like scoring.
Yeah,
but now they just have.
Yeah, absolutely. Just shows you how quickly things change if you take your eye off the ball.
Yeah.
Excellent. Now, listen, I want to tell you about, we talked about Cold Feet.
Yes.
And you haven't watched it, neither have I.
I haven't. No, I didn't watch it really first time around.
No, I didn't either.
I'm aware of it being on, but it's not something that has gripped me, I have to say.
I can't was it a sort of British version of Friends or something like that?
Well, you might say that, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know. But
I don't think it was as funny.
Anyway, I've got some sympathy for some of the actors there. There's a lad called Kel Spellman.
Kel Spellman.
Yeah, and he plays the role of the son of James Nesbitt's character, Adam.
Okay.
Now, James Nesbitt, as we know, is a rabid Manchester United fan in real life.
He certainly is.
And apparently is in the show as well. But this lad, who's a Manchester City fan, has had to spend long hours in a Manchester United shirt drinking pints of beer.
Why?
Because he's portrayed as the son of his father, so a United fan and all that. And he said he hates it.
Yeah.
And it just reminds me...
Some football fans wouldn't actually do that, even though it's part of your professional life.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying.
I mean, I remember when you were asked, I think it was an Ask Porky.
Yes.
Would you what was it? Would you become a Liverpool fan? For a year?
Yeah.
If you got your £1 million or something like
£1 million.
I don't think you could do it.
No, you just couldn't do it. I mean, I don't know how you could do that because now you say that. But the very famous story about Wayne Rooney, and I would have to introduce him into this, wouldn't I?
Yes, you would.
Is that he turned up for a trial for Liverpool when he was about 13 in an Everton shirt.
Right.
And of course, he didn't get on too well with the coaches who were there, who asked him to take it off, and he wouldn't.
Oh, there's another goal at Villa Park. Look at this excitement, Jack.
Well, what a turnaround. 2 in 3 minutes. It's Aston Villa 2, Nottingham Forest 1. Rudy Sjøsted, the substitute, after fine work. Villa 2, Forest 1.
Actually, that was a great goal.
No, it was. Well, they were both great goals, actually.
Yeah.
But you know what? It will still only leave them with 8 points out of 6 games, which is still 1 point behind Nottingham Forest.
Right, okay.
So it'll put them up at best to somewhere like 13th or 14th.
Game's not over yet, It's only 74 minutes gone, 16 minutes to go.
You think there's going to be more goals?
Yeah, I would think there would be now, because the point is, Forest now, from being in a position where they had everything to defend, now have nothing to defend and must go for it.
Yes, indeed.
So I think it'll open the game up.
Yeah, OK. Well, we shall see. But we want to hear from Villa fans, particularly, because, I mean, my belief is that, where they are at the moment, they're going to have to go on a bit of a run. And you can do that in the Championship and get further up the table. But, the fear has to be, surely, with the way that the crowd is looking here, because it's still very sparse, that they might actually drop down another division before any kind of rescue mission can actually be launched.
Well, you said that, 5 minutes ago when Villa were 1-0 down.
I did.
But now do you feel a bit foolish?
Because not at all, because the fact that they win this game doesn't really change much. I mean,
it gives them 3 more points.
It's a big win, psychologically against their rivals, Nottingham Forest, but it doesn't change their situation, which is that they're very much in the lower half at the moment of the Championship after having played 6 games.
Yeah,
no matter what.
There's a sign there, just watching it on the television. Holt End, the 12th man.
And the whole end does look very full.
Oh, it does, absolutely.
But the rest of the ground doesn't.
It's a big stand, that. It looms up into the sky.
Yeah, it does,
over Birmingham.
You see it over there for the M6. Anyway, here's the number, 08717 223344. I'd love to hear from some Villa fans about what's happening at the club. We were hearing earlier that, they had to fire something like 2/3 of the staff at the club when they were relegated.
Yeah.
Di Matteo's in charge now. Is he the answer? The new owners, we're not sure how much money they're going to put in.
That's right.
It's a precarious situation for them.
I'm sure it is. And a big club like that, they do extremely well when they're successful in terms of revenues.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. They now feel the clout of recession, and the weather turns very cold when they're not doing well because they have huge overheads, and I don't have the resources to match them.
Well, and also, what a year to be out of the Premier League when all this money's swirling around in it.
Championship teams get 100th the money of Premier League teams. I mean, literally 100th. The lowest team in the Premier League gets a guaranteed £100 million now. I think the Championship teams get like $2.5 million a year or something like that. I mean, it's amazing. Anyway, getting back to this poor lad who had to wear the United shirt. Taunted on screen by all his mates. Taunted by on-screen Dad Nesbitt during the filming, adding, our first scenes together were filmed at Old Trafford because everyone knows Adam is also a huge United fan, Adam being the character that James Nesbitt plays. He took great pleasure in tormenting me as a City fan. That really was tough. I had to grit my teeth every day. And James Nesbitt himself said, I love making fun of Kel on the set. I was delighted he had to wear the United shirt. I think that was his biggest acting challenge in the whole of the 5 months of the shoot. Now, I know how he feels, because if you remember, one of the great victories and successes of my broadcasting career here at Talk Sport was to...
One of them?
Yes.
How many of them would you say there were?
Oh, I can't count them.
Countless.
Can't count them.
Yeah.
I'm
not sure we're going to have time for this.
No, went to Old Trafford and took part in a penalty competition at half-time.
Yes.
I was captain of one team, Alvin Martin was captain of the other. I, of course, won.
Did you?
Because I got my penalties home and Alvin missed his.
Did you actually get yours in?
Yeah, I got mine in. I got mine in, yeah. And but I had to do all that in a Manchester United shirt with the name Porky written on the back.
Really?
And of course...
That must have pained you.
It did pain me. But when I said, look, why can't I do it in a neutral shirt? They said, no, this is a Manchester United promotion.
Yeah.
And we had the rights to the game. We were broadcasting the game. And it was sponsored by Vodafone, whose logo, I think, was on the United shirt.
Yes, it was, yeah.
And so we just had to do it.
Right. Any pictures of you winning that particular trophy?
Yes, there are, yes.
I haven't seen those either.
No, I can assure you they are in my collection.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Stephen says this, I'm going to put 50 quid on no more goals, as Porky said there would be more goals.
Oh, there will be.
Porky jinx.
Yeah, okay.
We shall see.
Yeah.
There's about 22 minutes left, or slightly...
something like that.
Slightly less. Actually, no, maybe less than that. Lots more to come, of course, coming up in the next hour. We want to take your calls from Aston Villa fans and from Nottingham Forest fans as well.
12
minutes, plus added time, of course.
Plus added time.
Yeah. There's no more added time here, though, unfortunately, because we're going to have some news very soon. Okay. This is Talk Sport. Good afternoon, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry. You're listening to the two mics on Talk Sport. We're coming to the last few minutes of the Aston Villa Nottingham Forest game. Villa still leading by 2-1. We want to hear from Villa fans. Where is the club going? Is it going anywhere, or is it going to stay firmly rooted somewhere down into the bottom half of the Championship? 08717 223344. We'll be looking ahead to Chelsea visiting Swansea this afternoon at 4 o'clock, of course, as well. We'll be talking to Ian Danta, who's coming up after us. And, of course, there's another edition of Heroes and Villains as well. You're listening to Two Mics with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are at the Two Mics. There should be team news coming up from Swansea very shortly. We've got lots more to do. You can text us, of course, at 81089. You can tweet us at the Two Mics. And we've got heroes and villains to do, where you pick two heroes and two villains of the weekend.
Yes, that's right.
And then the judgment will be made by our producer Matt today as to who's won. You haven't won one for a while, I don't think, on a Sunday.
No, that's because you get in first, and you offer inducements to our producer.
It's
I know
not true.
that for certain.
Incorrect. Absolutely wrong. But as I predicted, we have now got some Chelsea team news. So I wonder if David Luiz will be getting a game. He's just been appearing down there, so we shall see.
Yeah.
But, so I still think that's a very odd thing to bring him back. Do you not?
Well,
I mean, Steve Lillywhite was saying he always saw him as the successor to John Terry, which I'm quite surprised about.
Yeah,
really.
but when you look at the hang on, I think we've got a goal.
We've got another goal.
Think we've got a goal.
Oh, we have got a goal at Villa Park. Let's go back to Jack Woodward. Jack.
It's 2-2. How about that? Great run from the sub, Hildeberto Pereira, slaloming through the middle, and the ball broke favourably for captain Henry Lansbury, outside of the boot, into the top. At Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 2, Nottingham Forest 2.
I'll tell you what, the second half has more than made up for the first half, hasn't it?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it was a brilliant goal as well.
Yeah, outside of the foot.
Yeah, there wasn't any tremendous moves and all that, but it was just power and persuasion. They just determined to go towards goal. Yeah. And it was fantastic. Great finish as well. And you know what happens now, Mike, of course?
Well, you see, all these people on Twitter have been claiming that my jinx is now worse than yours.
Yes.
We'll have to eat their words, because it could very well end up with a victory for Nottingham Forest now.
Well, even if it doesn't, and there's 3 minutes to go plus added on time, even if it doesn't, it feels like a defeat for Villa already.
Yeah, it does.
Because when you're 1-0 down and 2-1 up, now we're going to win the cup, but you're not, because you're now drawn back to 2-2, and now you feel like you've lost 2 points rather than gained one. So if this had been Villa 2-0 down, and then they got back to 2-2, that's victory.
Yeah.
But when you're 2-1 up with 4 minutes to go, and you suddenly
in front of your home crowd,
in front of
the whole end,
in front of the whole end, then I'm afraid and then you've got the away fans, 3,000 of them, which is a hell of a lot of fans to take to an away. Oh no, he's
been red carded. Pereira's been red carded.
Oh my God.
Goodness me, let's go back to Jack Woodward. Jack.
Yeah. Well, that's an eventful couple of minutes for Hildeberto Pereira. Yeah, as I said, he got the assist for the goal. Then he behaved like a bit of a madman afterwards, I've got to say, perhaps inciting the home fans and the home players, and he jumped into the crowd and he's been sent off. So he's given his marching orders. He got an assist for the goal, and he's off the pitch. Not happy at all. His team are level, but they're down to 10 men for the closing stages.
Yeah, and it looks as though Aston Villa almost got a winner there, but it's fascinating.
They should have got a winner.
Second half.
Should have got a winner. They a player there on the edge of the area, the goal in front of him, and he booted it over the crossbar.
Yeah, well, it wasn't that simple. Well, I know you'd say you'd probably have scored that. Henry Lansbury's a great name, isn't it, for a footballer?
It certainly is. Yeah.
He used to play for Arsenal, you know.
Who?
Henry Lansbury.
I don't remember that.
He didn't
actually.
make it for.
Was he a young player? Yeah,
he was a young player. But he was sent out on loan for various people. West Ham, Scunthorpe, Watford, Norwich.
I didn't see Pereira jump into the crowd because we're obviously on our monitors here.
Well, we saw them running over to the crowd.
Yeah,
right?
and inciting the crowd to cheer more and all that kind of stuff. That's fair enough, but I did not see anybody jumping into the crowd.
Yeah,
so
well, I mean, the referee must
have
have seen something. I mean, he obviously. I mean, what I did see was just before he got the red card, he sort of shoved his fist in the air right in front of the referee.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Which might not have pleased the referee too much.
Yeah, but I mean, I tell you what, this would be very interesting because hang on, what have we just seen?
Is that another goal?
I think it is.
No, it's a replay of the goal.
It's a replay, yeah, sorry. I thought I was watching it. Saw it from a different angle.
Well, it's such an exciting game.
I saw it from
almost
a different
anything
angle.
could be going on here.
And it looked like a different goal, to be honest. But
no, that was Lansbury scoring the goal.
That's Lansbury scoring the goal.
Henry spells it with an I.
Yeah, hey?
He spells it with an I.
Oh, Henri.
Yeah, Henri Lansbury.
H-E-N-R-I.
But he is actually English, yeah.
Yes, I see what you mean, yeah. Anyway, look, again,
Well, you did say there would be more goals, didn't you?
I did say there would be more goals.
5 minutes have been added on.
Yeah, 5 minutes have been added on. I said there'd be more goals.
Yeah.
And then, of course, all you doubters out there, started to, Paul Joseph's final, I'm betting 50 quid there are no more goals.
So he's lost
So
that.
I hope you've lost your 50 quid, okay? And as I say, we would like to hear from
Always
you
bet
Villa
sensibly,
fans.
of course.
Like to hear from you Villa fans after the end of the show, and you know what it
Well,
is?
it's going to be a big roller coaster ride for these guys.
It is,
I mean,
yeah.
the final sort of 5 minutes
Yeah.
or so that we're going to be watching here.
That's
We'll
right.
keep you updated. Jack Woodward's there for us as well.
Yeah.
And of course, coming up in a little while, Ian Danton will be here as well. But
That's right.
when you're finished watching this, if you're a Villa fan, you need to call us 08717 22 333 44.
That's right.
Yes. Now we're going to do Heroes and Villains coming up very shortly.
Yes.
You were complaining last week because
Yes.
I did something which was non-sporting, which is allowed, by the way.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's
So
fine.
they don't all
okay.
have to be sporting heroes
Okay,
or
and
sporting villains.
okay. Well, I've got a few ideas in my head here.
Well, I'm glad
and,
to hear it.
And I have an anti-gerrymandering device as well. So
Oh, is
just
that
so I'd
right?
let you know that. Yeah, indeed I do.
Yes.
Now then, what I was going to talk to you about was the situation regarding that Liverpool stand. Okay.
Yes.
Because it is massive. I mean, it's huge.
Does
but-
you think it makes the stadium look a bit sort of
well,
off kilter?
I
now?
was about to say to you. Do you know where else that happens? Have you been to Newcastle United's ground?
Well, I stayed in a hotel right opposite.
Oh, of course you did. Yeah, we did.
Remember
yeah,
that? We
yeah.
did a show in
Yeah,
the,
we did, yeah.
in the Tyne Theatre and Opera House.
We did.
Where you got locked downstairs
I
for
did,
a couple of hours.
I did, yeah, you're absolutely right, yeah. But what I was going to say is, when you go inside that Newcastle ground, it is completely unbalanced,
Yeah.
because one side is massive,
Yeah.
and the other side is smaller.
Well, it's not. Yeah, but it's not so small that it would worry you.
Now, the funny thing is, exactly the same thing happens at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've, inside Old Trafford...
Well, I've seen Old Trafford as well because we were in Salford doing another show.
Exactly, we
of
were.
course, staying in a hotel within sight of the
We
stadium.
did, from the rooms we were in on the 10th
Do you
floor.
not remember any of the stuff we've
Yeah,
done
of course
together?
I did. But what I'm saying is I'm talking about being inside these stadiums,
Yeah.
you know. I have actually been inside these stadiums,
Yes.
and the imbalance is enormous. Now, I'm not knocking the Liverpool ground because it is a magnificent structure. It looks brilliant.
And also, if you did that, people would say it's because you're an Everton
Yeah,
fan.
of course they
And
would.
I think you have ground envy now, don't you?
Well, no, I don't
Yeah,
have
you
ground
do.
envy. No, I don't.
You must
because
have.
no,
I mean,
I'm
Everton must have one of the most old-fashioned and undeveloped grounds in the Premier League now.
but also one that people have an awful lot of affection
Yeah,
for.
I'm
believe
sure
me.
I'm sure
You
that's
know,
true.
Goodison
Did
Park.
I not read a story saying the other day that they'd need 30 million in order to find a new site to build a new ground?
Well, Mr. Mashiri, right, who is our new owner,
Yeah.
and by the way, he's clearly got his own views because he has criticised the Everton transfer policy towards the end of the transfer window that we didn't nail
Well, there
down.
wasn't much business going on, was there?
Well, he says we should have nailed down a couple of... And by the way, it looks like they're after Troy Deeney from Watford in the January
He had a
transfer
great game
window.
yesterday, didn't he?
Yes,
Watford. Beat West
they
Ham.
did 4-2.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, after being 2-0 down.
That's right.
But the point I'm making is I'm not knocking it because we'd love to have a ground that was big and beautiful and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But you know the problems that have broken out now at West Ham, and we had Steve Lillywhite on before saying, well, West Ham are now basically playing away games. Where I think Liverpool have been clever is redeveloping Anfield.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
Because they're not leaving their traditional home. It would have been mad to have thought of Liverpool playing anywhere else except Anfield.
It would, yeah.
Anywhere else where there's the Kop.
Yeah.
So they've done it right. And I would like Everton Football Club to see, and you know, people are going to say, Mike, you are really urinating into the wind here because they've,
What?
you know,
It's a family show, this.
I know it is.
I
That's
wish
why
you wouldn't
that's
mention
why
that.
No, but what I'm saying is,
sake.
Everton will
It's 3:15
certainly,
in
and
the
the people who
afternoon.
run it will certainly have looked at every single possibility of keeping Goodison Park where
Yeah.
it is and redeveloping it.
Well, I wonder whether, I know that you've said it's been done before,
Yes.
but Liverpool have done it sort of the most recently, so people will look at it and go, maybe that's
Yeah.
the model.
Yeah.
Maybe the model is to just build on what you've got.
Around what you've got. You see, I've been thinking about it, knowing the layout of Goodison Park. Goodison Road is the main road where the main stand is. Now, that on the left of Goodison Road, there is a pub, which was actually closed down for about a year, or it might have been longer, because it just didn't work apart from on match days.
Yeah, right.
That's now been reopened, and half
Still
it,
a pub?
Well, half it is, and half it is business offices and that
Okay.
kind of stuff. It's been developed
Yeah.
as a sort of business centre.
Right.
And then there's a fish and chip shop, and then there's a load of terraced houses.
Yeah.
Some of those terraced houses are owned by Everton businessmen. I know that for a fact, you know, or businessmen who support Everton.
Yes.
And I wonder whether if that road went, that would then open up enough space, bearing in mind that Everton at one end behind one
Yeah.
goal have the park end, have a lot of space
Yes.
there, whether it can be done. But look, I'm sure the greatest architectural brains have looked at this, and
Well, that also might be cheaper than having to spend the 30 million looking to find a new site as well, which, albeit, might be made just a few 100 yards away.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And you know, if somebody said to us, look, we've got to close down one quarter of the stadium for the next 4 years, well, you've got to go through the Arsenal project, haven't you?
Absolutely.
You've got to say we've got to deprive ourselves for 4 years,
right.
and you know, of part of the stadium.
Sure.
And Spurs are going to go through this as
Spurs
well.
are going to go through it as well. Yeah. Full-time whistle at Villa Park. Let's go back to Jack at Woodward. Jack.
It's finished. Villa 2, Forest 2. A pretty dull first half.
Thanks very much indeed. Jack Woodward there reporting in from Villa Park. And as you say, Mike, probably more like a loss for Aston Villa now.
They'll feel it
4
now.
minutes from the end, they were leading 2-1, and suddenly having come back from 1-0 down.
That's right.
It's finished 2-2, which is a great result for Forest.
Yes.
And it means that they still remain, basically, just 2 points away from the relegation zone at the bottom of the Championship.
Who's that, Villa?
Yeah, Villa, yeah. So
Forest are literally mid-table. They're 10th out of 24, isn't it?
They're still 4 points ahead of Aston Villa. So we want to hear from Aston Villa fans because we want to know what the state of the club is, what the plans for the new season are, and whether or not they are actually in danger of going down one more division. By the way, do you know next week the Champions League returns, right?
I know.
And not only does it return to this country, but it returns to Talk Sport. Now, here's a fixture that you might not have expected to hear or see about on Wednesday. It's live on Talk Sport with Elijah Adderley and Danny Higginbotham. Club Bruges versus Leicester City.
I know, yeah, absolutely.
7:45. Leicester don't look very good this year, do they?
Well, they haven't looked so very good so far, but the European campaign might be a whole new ball game for them. The point is that those clubs in their group, although they look they're not the strongest in Europe, because obviously they came from the seeded pots, you know, A, B, C and D, and Leicester are out the seeded pots. But I tell you what, all those other clubs like Bruges and all that be delighted that they've got the English champions and not the English 2, 3 or 4.
Yes,
because English 2, 3 and 4 have got so much more experience in playing in Europe.
Claudio Ranieri's got a bit of experience about European football, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, but not successfully, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, semi-final I saw in Monaco against Chelsea, 2004, was it?
They just look a different team to me. I mean, I know that we haven't seen them play that much, but I mean, against Liverpool, it was kind of boys against men, wasn't it? Yesterday?
Yeah, it was. It was. I totally agree. Listen, bit of fan trouble over the weekend, which we shouldn't ignore. First of all, the West Ham situation. I mean, I don't know what's going on there.
Were they not fighting amongst themselves, the West Ham fans?
I can't quite understand it. I don't know whether it was the division between the home fans and the away fans.
Yeah.
Obviously, the West Ham fans were upset at being 2-0 up and then losing 4-2. Yeah.
But some of the reports I'm hearing was about West Ham fans fighting each other.
Well, I heard from some source, from somebody saying a lot of West Ham fans are not happy with the seats that have been allocated in the new stadium compared to the ones they had in the old stadium. Yeah. So, for instance, in the old stadium, their traditional seat they might have had for 12 years was within touching distance of the tunnel or the players or something like that, because it was an intimate, small ground.
Very much so.
Now the seats they've got are way, away from the sort of, the actual action.
I don't know whether there was a sort of a pecking order put into place, was there, with people who had already got season tickets? Were they allocated sort of closer to the pitch type seats or not?
I don't know, but I mean, there's clearly there's clearly some unhappiness. Now, Mr. Gold, I think, put out a message. Was Mr. Gold? Yes, it was. I think put out a message saying that, look, obviously we're concerned and we'll try and get to the bottom of it. Yeah. But then, at the same time, has said 10 fans who have been identified as causing trouble will be banned for life. Yeah. Now, that's going to be a problem if every time this breaks out. So they've got to get to the source of the problem first.
Well, if that indeed is the reason, I mean, and it may well be that there are legitimate sort of complaints and legitimate sort of gripes about the way the seating has been arranged, but that doesn't mean you can then go around, laying into other people and punching people. I mean, that's not what we want to see in any stadium, right?
No, I totally agree. Did you know, by the way, as well, that yesterday Celtic 5 Rangers 1 was the 31st anniversary of the death of Jock Stein?
I didn't know that, no.
So I think...
so doubly important for Celtic
to
exactly,
win that, and I think Brendan Rodgers... invoked that with the players and said, think the spirit of this club. However, I was dismayed to see a picture afterwards of what was said to be a bathroom area inside the stand, which apparently was completely and utterly trashed and wrecked by visiting Rangers fans. I mean, that is just disgraceful.
Well, the problem, as you'll know, in Glasgow, when they have one of these games...
How brainless you have to be to do that.
I mean, it's unfortunately, there are brainless fans out there who wear that as some kind of a badge of honour.
Indeed.
You know, we went to their ground and we messed it up for them and it's going to cost them a load of money to fix it. I mean, one of the reasons they had such an early kick-off is because they try to make sure that whatever damage that does get done to the city of Glasgow, it sort of happens late afternoon rather than early evening.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? And the belief always is that if Celtic win, somehow, sometimes things get worse because, if Celtic lose, Rangers fans are less likely to cause trouble.
Yeah.
And I don't want Rangers fans to say, well, we're not the only ones that cause trouble. But
No.
by and large, the city of Glasgow prefers it for Celtic to win.
Why?
Because generally, what I'm saying is, generally speaking, if they win and it's an early kickoff, then the trouble could be kind of kept to one part of the city.
So, supposing that had been Celtic 1, Rangers 5 yesterday, are you saying there'd been more trouble?
Well, there might have been, yeah.
Why? Because the Celtic fans are more violent than Rangers fans?
No, not because they are, but because certain Rangers fans, if they get beaten that badly, will just go home.
Oh, I see.
Whereas,
okay.
Whereas if there's more of a Rangers win, there's more of the Rangers fans come into the centre of town, and then it can be more of a sort of celebratory atmosphere, which can go a bit wrong.
I have to say, that's a complicated equation.
It's a very complicated equation.
Yes.
It's a very complicated equation, which is why an awful lot of people in the football business and in the police business would rather have not seen Rangers coming back into the league.
Sure. Well, you hope, like, for instance, in Birmingham this afternoon, you don't see any of that sort of behaviour. You know what I mean?
Not.
Because there'll be a lot of very disappointed Villa fans.
There will.
But, who knows these days in football. Wasn't it good to see Harry Kane getting back on the score sheet yesterday?
You could see the relief in his face,
Of course
couldn't
you could. And in terms of what it means for England, because that's my main concern about players playing for other Premier League clubs rather than my own, it can only be a good thing.
It can. And sometimes that's all it needs, isn't it?
Yes.
Just one sort of tap in, even though it wasn't quite a tap in, but it more or less was.
But that lad, Son, was very impressive.
He was very impressive, but unfortunately he doesn't play for England.
No, he doesn't. That is the big problem.
But, I mean, if Harry Kane can now go and score a hatful against Malta, which he should do, playing for England, then he may well be back on track. But certainly Tottenham looked very good yesterday.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Now, we've got loads more coming up. We're going to take some of your calls as well.
Yes.
We're looking for Aston Villa fans, West Ham fans on the phone as well. Very familiar refrain for you there, Mr. Parry. Heroes and Villains by the Beach Boys, because this is time for Heroes and Villains. We're going to nominate 2 each, and then Matt behind the glass will make a judgment as to which ones he prefers and who's going to win. I won it last weekend, and I think the score, I think you've won a couple in the past.
I have indeed.
Score is something like 6-2 to me.
No, I don't think it is. No.
I think it is. Well, do you want to go first with a hero, or do you want to go first with a villain, or what do you want to do?
I'll tell you what, I'll go first with a villain.
Okay, go on.
Okay, my villain of the weekend is Mark Clattenburg, the referee in the Manchester derby, because without a shadow of a doubt, I mean, Manchester City were very dominant in that game and deserved to win it. But one crucial decision really corrupted the game, and that was the clash between Bravo, the goalkeeper, and Wayne Rooney. That goalkeeper should have gone off. And
mind you, that might have been a better piece of news for Manchester City than not.
Well, maybe, because he was fumbling, wasn't he? Crosses and that sort of stuff, and was lacking. But nevertheless, it'd have been down to 10 men, and they'd have had a substitute goalkeeper in. And I'm afraid that really did change the game. And unusual for Mr. Clattenburg to make such a mistake. Yeah. But it was a terrible mistake.
Yes. All right. Well, I'm going to go with, say, a villain from that game, but it's not going to be Clattenburg. It's going to be Jose Mourinho.
Right.
Because Jose Mourinho, who was given the opportunity for the first time in the Premier League to come up against his nemesis, Pep Guardiola. Yeah. And I'm afraid he failed pretty much on all counts. Yeah. He's admitted himself that he didn't get the tactics wrong, but he got the team selection wrong.
Yes.
He's also admitted that he wanted to change it, but he was worried about destroying the players.
Yes.
And by saying that, he's now presumably destroyed a few of them anyway.
That's right.
He should have started with Rashford, probably. Yeah. It's not my job to second-guess Jose Mourinho, but I think he was definitely outplayed and outshone and outthunk, if you don't mind me saying so, by Pep Guardiola.
Indeed.
So he's my first villain.
Okay, your first villain, right, okay. So do I go now with my first hero?
You can do whatever you want.
First hero now for me is the boy Son from Spurs. I mentioned him a couple of times in the programme, but I thought he was outstanding. And when you think that Spurs had a very...
Son.
Sorry?
The boy Son.
Yeah, the boy Son, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what would you call him?
Well, we call him by his name.
His name is Son.
Yeah, is that it?
Well,
you know, one name.
Well, over the years, I referred to the boy Rooney. The boy Barkley. I mean, that's what you call them. They're players. The boys. People refer to them as the boys.
Yeah.
So the boy Son, because the reason I say that is Spurs had a very strong team last season. In fact, actually, I think there's a bit of regret in the back of their heads that they didn't win the Premier League when it's up for grabs.
Yes.
And Leicester snatched it from them, although by quite a large margin at the end, of course.
Yeah.
But if Son's added to that team now and he performs again like he did yesterday, I see tremendous possibilities for their impact on the Premier League this season.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. What's going to be, I guess, the test is not playing teams like Stoke. It's going to be playing, teams which are around them.
Of course.
To see how well they do against teams like Liverpool and against teams like Manchester City.
That's right.
Because that was their problem last year, wasn't it? They just suddenly collapsed at the wrong time. Well, I'm going to go with my first hero, I suppose, and I'm going to say it's Dominic Ingle. Dominic Ingle, of course, is the man who threw the towel in on behalf of Kell Brook because even though the decision to end the fight was met with a load of boos from the crowd inside the O2, it was definitely the right thing to do. And because Kell Brook has admitted now he's got a broken eye socket, he's going to have to go and have surgery.
That's right.
He didn't really know, well, boxers don't generally know when it's time to quit, and he would have probably kept going, and had it not been for Dominic Ingle throwing in the towel, he might have got himself a lot more seriously injured.
Yeah.
So I think Dominic Ingle is the hero of the hour.
Absolutely. Okay, fine. So now we go back to villains, yeah?
Well, you can choose whichever you want. You can do a second hero if you want. You do a second villain.
No, I'm going to choose a second villain, and that villain, I'm afraid, is Roberto Martinez.
Is it?
Because to take £10 million out of the game,
sorry. What do you mean out of the game?
Well, he's taken £10 million out of the game.
Well, how's he to blame for that?
Because he's taken £10 million of Everton's revenues, which were, came
it's
from...
Everton's money you're worried about.
No, I'm not. I'm worried about money being sucked
what about
out
when
of the
David
game.
Moyes took money out of the game when he got paid off by Man United?
He didn't take £10 million, and he was on a longer and bigger contract. So I think that there should have been some compromise there. And so
I think you've been very unfair.
No, I'm not being unfair because I just do not believe on a general principle of life, never mind whether it's football or not, that failure should be rewarded with such enormous sums of money.
Well, that's what happens. Look at Roy Hodgson.
Yeah.
Look how much money he's taken out of the game.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, he's not subject
for
to
years.
this. He's not subject to this today, and Roberto Martinez is. So I'm sticking with Roberto Martinez. I'm sorry.
Well, he's still playing in the game as well, isn't he? I mean, he's still managing a football team.
Yeah, well, for some bizarre reason, somebody appointed him as the manager of Belgium. I can't work that out.
They lost their first game, didn't they?
Lost their first friendly. Their game was a friendly, lost 2-0, and then won their first qualifier. Yeah. Okay.
I just think you're being unnecessarily
I'm not.
Prejudicial against somebody who used to go waxing lyrical
I didn't.
about what a great manager he was. And now he's gone from Everton. You're picking on him.
No, I'm not. No.
I think you are.
Right.
Well, mine is my final villain is Jerry Barton.
Okay.
Jerry Barton, who always talks a good game, who went up to play for Rangers in the belief that he was going to become the best player in Scottish football. And yesterday he was shown up to be, I'm afraid, not even at the races by Scott Brown, who's the captain of Celtic, of course, who completely bossed the game.
Harsh, really.
I don't think so.
Harsh.
I mean, Jerry Barton himself admitted, did he not, on Twitter, that the team didn't play well, that he didn't play well.
Well, I think he admitted the team didn't play well, but
they got completely horsed.
I didn't see him. I didn't see him actually specify his own performance was poor.
Well, he should have done because it was.
Okay, all right.
He allowed Celtic to run the midfield ragged.
Yeah.
He didn't really contribute very much at all.
Yeah.
He didn't seem as fired up as you'd have expected him to be.
Well,
and his first old firm derby, you'd have to say, a complete and utter failure for him.
One man can't make a team.
No, one man can't.
But there we go, okay?
Yeah.
So now you want my second hero?
Yes.
Without shadow of a doubt, Ashley Williams. Ashley Williams wrote to Subbuteo when he was a 9-year-old kid and said, my hero is John Barnes. Yeah. He plays in the England team, and his colour of his skin is black, and you haven't got any black players in the England team. Subbuteo changed it.
Yeah.
That is groundbreaking.
It is.
That is astonishing for a 9-year-old kid to have introduced such a wonderful.
Subbuteo confirmed the story, or is it just an Ashley Williams PR job? And is it because he's played for Everton now that you're highlighting?
No, he's highlighted it because he's been talked to this week ahead of Everton's game tomorrow night. So that's why I know.
Well,
what he's talking about.
I'm not casting aspersions on Ashley Williams, but I mean, the story's come from him.
Yes, exactly.
It hasn't come from Subbuteo, has it?
Yeah, no, it's come from him, but nobody's arguing about it. Nobody's saying that's not true.
Really?
So I think that's a wonderful.
Okay. So you got lots
bit
of
insight.
Everton-based heroes and villains.
Well, not really. No.
Well, he plays for Everton.
Yeah, okay.
You made him a hero.
Yeah, okay. Well, he didn't used to play for Everton. And
Roberto Martinez, who used to be the Everton manager, is now a villain.
He's not the Everton manager anymore.
And that's how he's a villain now.
And Ashley Williams didn't play for Everton when he made that fantastic gesture and got things changed.
No, of course.
To make change in life when you're 9 years of age on such a crucial issue is outstanding.
Yeah, if it's true.
And he deserves to be regarded as a hero.
Yeah, if it's a true story, it's a very good one.
It is a true story.
Well, how do you know?
Because nobody's challenged it to say it's not. That's why.
Okay. Well, my hero, my second hero is Dimitri Payet from West Ham.
Right.
Did you see the goal that he made with his little sort of back of the leg flick.
Sorry, this is a team that got beaten 4-2 yesterday at
sorry?
home. This is a team that got beaten 4-2 at home yesterday.
They did, yes.
Yeah, so you think a member of a team that was 2-0 up and got beaten 4-2
well, I'll tell you
can
why.
be regarded as a hero?
Yeah, because he crossed the ball, right, with his leg kicking, it was one of those back heel type kicks, but it wasn't a heel.
He wrapped his right leg round his left.
That's right, and he kicked it with his toe.
Yes, that's
but
right.
it was one of those things that people will be trying all week in school now. You'll see all these kids trying to do that, in the same way they used to try and copy Neymar.
It's called a Rabona, actually.
Yeah.
I've just remembered.
Yeah. But, when what's his name, Neymar used to flick the ball from behind him, over his head and in front of him, the Neymar sort of
jump
thing.
Yeah.
People all over the place tried to do that. People tried to do the Wayne Rooney, overhead kick. This would be what they're all trying to do. And it was I think it was for their second goal that Antonio scored.
It was.
But it was brilliant.
But if he hadn't been so concerned with trying to be spectacular and be a show
goal
pony,
from it.
to be a show pony.
No, but they scored a goal.
Perhaps he wouldn't have taken his eye off the ball like the other 10 West Ham players and conceded a 2-goal lead to be hammered 4-2.
That's a separate thing altogether.
No, it's not. It's all part of it.
In my mind, when people then try and copy whatever Dimitri Payet has done, then he's been a success, even though the team lost 4-2. So those are my two. So it's Dominic Ingle and Dimitri Payet for me as the heroes. Who are your heroes?
My heroes are Ashley Williams and
the boy Son.
Yeah,
and of course I've got Jerry Barton and Jose Mourinho as villains.
Yeah, and I've got Mark Clattenburg, the referee, and Roberto Martinez.
Which I think is a bit unkind.
No, I don't think
never
so.
mind. Okay, well, heroes and villains will be judged by Matt behind the glass. We'll find out very shortly which one of us he prefers. Talk Sport, we are the two mics. Ian Danter's coming up at 4 o'clock, and there's going to be all sorts of action coming from Swansea, of course, the Liberty Stadium, where Chelsea are visiting. Let's go down there now and catch up with Lawrence Mora. Lawrence.
Yeah, good afternoon. Well, after Manchester City's victory yesterday, Chelsea are the only other side in the Premier League with a 100% record. And they'll certainly go into this game as big favourites, with Swansea still really searching for an identity and fluidity under their manager Francesco Guidolin. An early win at Burnley's been quickly forgotten with defeats to Hull and Leicester. And this game against Chelsea starts a really tough run of fixtures for the Swans. With that in mind, Guidolin's gone with 5 at the back for the first time in his tenure, certainly that I can remember. So it's Fabianski in goals. 3 centre-backs will be Fernandes and Matt and Kingsley. Taylor and Norton are the wing-backs. Cork, Fur and Key and Sigurdsson will play in a diamond behind Fernando Loriente. As for the visitors, well, it's as you were in regards of their starting 11 against Burnley. So David Luiz has to make do with a place on the bench. Their lineup is Courtois in goals, Ivanovic, Cahill, Terry and Azpilicueta at the back. Kante and Matic will hold midfield, with Willian, Oscar and Hazard supporting Diego Costa. Kick-off not far away now for Swansea against Chelsea.
Thanks very much indeed, Lawrence, reporting in. You'll be hearing updates from him all the way through, of course. We've got quite a few calls to take. I don't know if we've got that much time to take them, but we're going to talk a little bit about West Ham coming up, and maybe a couple of fans telling us precisely what the problem is with the seating there.
Yeah.
And also, we're looking for Aston Villa fans as well to find out whether you feel like you lost the game today.
Yes.
2-1 up with 4 minutes to go against Nottingham Forest, and it turns out to be a 2-2 draw.
That's right.
And Villa very much down in 17th position.
Yeah.
Not looking good.
No, not looking good at all.
So give us a call, 08717 2233 A couple of good tweets here. Pete says this: why isn't your villain Porky? He's scheming with a mysterious Two Mike's business partner called Sarah.
What? No.
I could make you the villain every week. I don't want to do that all the time.
There's no scheming going on at all.
You
know,
sure?
I mean, somebody's got to look after business in this arrangement.
Yeah,
if
well,
I didn't,
how much
it would all go to hell, wouldn't it?
How much of the company profits were spent during this, soiree?
No. This was, it was a business investment. Don't worry about it.
A business investment?
Yes.
Well, of course I want to worry about it.
Yeah.
Since it's supposed to be our money.
Well, don't worry about it, honestly.
Don't worry about it.
I'm in control of things.
Yeah. You're cooking the books again, are you?
Why does old Fordy here say, Porky, Jorginho was a famous Brazil footballer of the 60s and 70s, not Janeiro? I've never talked about that this afternoon, have I?
Not today, you haven't, no. But in the past, you have. Maybe you're listening to an old podcast or something.
No, I haven't.
You have.
I don't know what he's talking about.
You talked about somebody called Janeiro, because remember we were talking about whether or not players are named after the place they come from, I think, for some reason.
I remember.
And you were trying to make out that Rio de Janeiro I think it was something to do with football clubs, wasn't it?
Yeah.
About whether they're actually named in Brazil after the place where they are.
That's right. Yeah.
And you were arguing some ridiculous point that not only were the teams named after the city, but there was a player named after the city. And you said
I
Di
know
Janeiro.
exactly who.
That's what you said.
Jorginho was. By the way, I've been sent a
Jorginho.
picture. Jorginho, yeah. I've been sent a picture from Celtic Park yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's a horrible picture, actually, and it says this might be why the Rangers fans got so annoyed. And it shows a load of... we said earlier about these stag guys who went to New York and took these plastic dolls with them, the ridiculous blow-up dolls. Apparently a load of those were exhibited at Celtic Park yesterday, hanging from ropes from the stand with Rangers scarves around their necks.
Really?
Yeah, which is, that's not a good image, is it?
It's not a very nice image, no.
I
mean, there could be some very nasty stuff that goes on between Celtic and Rangers fans. Kev, who's obviously a Rangers fan, says this: Rangers fans cause more damage in the city centre. Really? What's your source on that? A bloke in the pub. Actually, Kev, I used to work in Glasgow for 5 years running a newspaper.
Exactly.
And I used to talk to an awful lot of police officers up there.
Yeah.
And that was what they told me. And I witnessed it myself, actually.
Okay. Now then, Pete here, very nice one this. I'm going to read it out, even though it is praiseworthy of us. He says, Sunday lunch roasting, wine flowing, 2 mics on the radio, footy to come, all in the world is good.
Yes.
So that's very nice.
That's very good. What are you doing for Sunday lunch, by the way? It's a bit late for Sunday lunch now.
It is a bit late for Sunday lunch. I will have a sort of 6:30ish type Sunday dinner.
Oh, really?
See what I mean? Yeah.
What are you going to make?
It's already made.
Oh.
It's already there.
What do you mean it's already there?
I've already got it all sorted. I've just got to switch on a few...
what, back at the penthouse?
Back at the penthouse.
Well, you did a bit of prep this morning,
Bit of prep this morning,
Really?
yeah. Yes.
I'm very impressed.
Yes.
So what are you having?
Meat.
Meat?
Yes.
What sort of meat?
Vegetables.
Vegetables? What
Yes.
sort of vegetables?
I'm going to have some sprouts and peas.
What are you going to do with them?
Well, I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do with them because then you just get all sort of weird.
You're going to boil them, aren't you?
Well, what else do you do with sprouts,
I've told you before.
Yeah.
I've told you many times.
What?
You can saute them with a little bit of pancetta.
I don't
and
like
it's really
saute.
nice.
I don't like saute,
Why
okay?
not?
Because I don't. I like my sprouts to be... like
completely drained of any kind of nutrition.
No, I like them to look like sprouts when they get on the plate, not some mushy,
like all watery and
mushy
falling
green
apart.
mess or something. They're not watery; they don't fall apart. I drain them and shake them and all that kind of stuff. So don't worry about it, okay?
Like a Dave Clark 5 song.
No,
drain them, shake them.
No. Right, it says here. No, hang on, I can't read that one out. It's not polite. Right.
You're supposed to read them first before you read them out.
Yeah.
Shall we talk to Dave, who's a West Ham fan?
I think we should.
And we'll get some info from him as to what's going on at the new stadium. Dave, very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, gents. Great show.
Thank you very
thanks,
much.
Dave.
What can you tell us about, first of all, yesterday's events, and also what generally is the situation with the seating?
Sure. I mean, yesterday's events are what's been going on for the last few games. From the moment we've come from the bowling, the actual transition, as big as it is, has been extremely flawed, right away from the allocation of season tickets to fans, both academy members and public, through to what we're witnessing now. Now, I'm still speaking to a lot of friends that are going to the games. One of my mates was in the toilets at half-time and shared the actual toilet with Bournemouth fans.
Right.
So there doesn't appear to be any segregation there because it is a general-purpose stadium. Let's get it right. We're only renting it for 20-odd days a year.
But surely they must have thought of that.
Well, I'm only telling you what we've been seeing. Yeah. And the biggest problem we're seeing with the infighting is areas of the old bowling ground. There was lots of singers, lots of standers. Now, when they've had their call up to the allocation of new season tickets, a lot of those guys, for whether availability or what, they've sort of been dispersed a lot. Now, with the old bowling ground, especially where I sat, if somebody stood up 2-3 seats in front of you, you could still see over them because they were steep stadiums.
Right.
Yeah. The design of the stadium is quite long and sloping, so as you could get nearer to the pitch.
Yeah.
Consequently, somebody stands. For you to see over them, you're going to need to stand when you're 7, 8, 9 rows back.
Really?
Because you haven't got the pitch, i.e., when I say the pitch, the height, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
And Dave,
So
let me just interrupt you for a second. Sorry. So when they reallocated the seating for, say, the season ticket holders and the academy members and all that, did they try to do it in a way which kept it as it was for those people?
Not at all. The allocations were, there was an office in Westfield Shopping Centre that was run by nobody who was West Ham family that you could say were part of the old ticket office and the understanding. There was people that were brought in just to manage during the location of the new seat. So they had no understanding as such of the requirements of fans and how the old bowling worked.
Yeah.
So they was just out to sell tickets. I'm an academy member, which means I paid £40 a year. It gave me priority booking before general public sales. Because of my work schedule, I couldn't commit to a season ticket.
Right.
Ironically, last year I went to 15 home games. It cost me probably 1.5 times a season ticket.
Right.
But what it gave me the opportunity, being an academy member that cost me 40 quid a year, I had a chance of buying a ticket before they went on public sale.
Right.
Well, what happened was, as I understood, it was going to be season ticket holders called up first for the new season tickets at the new stadium.
Yeah.
Then academy members, then general public.
Right.
It wasn't the case. A lot of general public were called up, and as such, I was 6 days short of getting my call up, so I've missed out on a season ticket for this year.
Right.
I thought there was a great number of season tickets available, though.
Exactly. I thought there was still tickets available.
No, I'm still waiting. I'm 6 days short of a call-up.
All right, Dave, let me ask you one question, please, because time is going to be short. Supposing you had a seat amongst all your mates in is it the Chicken Run, the famous part of West Ham's bowling ground?
The old East Stand.
Yeah, OK, so there's a group of 20 of you there, and 10 of you meet before the game for a beer, and then you all get together. Are you all still located near and close to each other in the new stadium, or have you been spread all over the place?
There are small nucleuses of people. My cousin and all his chums, they all, when they got their call up, they actually said, well, we sit near particular people. Can we get the booking at Westfield the same day? Yeah. And they went up as a group to get located. And bearing in mind, every person that actually got called up, they got a thing called U+2. So they could invite 2 people as guests.
Right.
And now they might not have ever gone to football.
Yeah.
The trouble you've got there now, you've got a lot of people going to West Ham. It's great to have new people at the ground, but you've got people sitting on their iPads. And
that's a common complaint in a lot of Premier League stadiums now, though, isn't it? Particularly those at the sort of top end of the league.
But Dave, what is the fighting about? Why was the fighting yesterday? Why has David Gold said 10 members who used to be West Ham fans will be banned for life?
Well, the fighting goes back to what we was talking about as regards people wanting to stand. They feel, people are standing up, and people behind them are having to stand up because they can't see. So consequently, people behind, and so many people back are getting frustrated, shouting at people in front of them that are saying, it's not us, it's people down the front. The stewards are poor. They're not the West Ham stewards that have gone over. They're stadium stewards.
Right.
They're employed by the stadium. The old West Ham stewards, that's all changed.
Right.
Because we rent the ground for so many days.
Yeah.
So we have everything that the stadium offers, not West Ham United. So we're in the hands of stadium stewards that are not really trained or doing what they should be doing. Consequently, you've actually got people rowing with people that they ain't the first ones for standing up, because you've got 30, 40 people in front that have stood up and forcing people behind to stand.
Sure.
So it's going to become a sort of ongoing problem, this, until they sort out one or two things. But it sounds of it. Dave, let's appreciate your call. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Dave.
If you're another West Ham fan and you disagree with what Dave's saying, if he's not right about it, by all means let us know. 08717 22 3344. We're almost out of time now. We're also going to need very soon from Matt a judgment on the old heroes and villains.
Yeah, we are. When's that coming?
Well, I suppose it will come very, very shortly. He may be whispers in my ear, or he may wish to wait until
whisper in my ear.
He might whisper in your ear.
Yeah, I hope so.
Depends. Maybe you should whisper in the ear of the winner.
Yeah, exactly. Good idea.
Should we do that?
Yeah, and then we can break the news to the loser.
I've just won.
What?
I've just won.
No.
I have. You just whispered in my ear.
I can't believe
Well,
it.
that's why I didn't whisper. I said he'll whisper in the ear of the winner.
No, he used to have judgment, that boy. I can't believe it.
I know. Shocking, isn't it?
Yeah, it is shocking.
Well, I mean, it was because yours were tainted with Everton.
No, they weren't.
They were.
No, they weren't.
Totally and utterly,
Well, was yours tainted with a bit of stupidity, in my view?
No, the truth. The judgment's been made. There's no point in, bleating
about
it now.
I'm not bleating. I'm not bleating.
You had to have an Everton player in there as a hero.
Yeah.
And you had to have an ex-Everton manager in there as a villain. I mean, people see the betrayal.
No. If you didn't think it was worthy that Ashley Robbie Williams, managed to change
I said
the world.
It's a great story if it's true.
So you're casting doubt on it now, calling him a liar, are you?
I'm not calling him a liar.
Very nice, isn't it?
Sometimes people don't remember what they did when they were 9 quite as clearly as they ought to. That's all.
Really? Yeah. Casting aspersions on the integrity of the man.
Maybe he's one of these guys that exaggerates things a bit. You know what that's like, don't you?
Yeah. Well, no, I wouldn't know anything about that.
No,
I'm sorry.
are you
anyway.
sure?
Yeah, I know what's been going on here. Don't worry. I'm not stupid.
Really?
I know just exactly what the gerrymandering process is.
There is no gerrymandering,
and I'm getting fed up to the back teeth of it. Let me tell you that.
Absolutely no gerrymandering whatsoever. It's not true.
Yeah.
We'll get him to explain it in full if you like later on.
Now, what are we doing for the rest of the week?
The rest of the week we are back on TalkSport at 1 o'clock in the morning, starting on Monday evening.
Yes.
I suppose going into Tuesday morning. We've got Champions League football. We've got Everton Sunderland actually first.
We have,
which we'll be very excited
look
about.
at, yeah.
We're going to be talking to Sandra Lee, our good friend down in Australia.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to talking to her because
we haven't spoken to her for a while, have we?
haven't spoken to her. Australia's gone politically sort of correct mad.
Right.
And they're
they put a load of speed limits in the outback.
Load of speed limits in the outback. Where I mean, you know why rhubards were invented? Rhubards were invented because people used to burn around the roads in Australia, in the outback, Northern Territories and all that. And, these poor kangaroos would come bouncing onto the road, and the rhubards were literally so they bounced off again, and didn't cause accidents and all that.
Some of them bounce on the bonnet, don't they? Just
carry
on.
They do, absolutely.
Well, at this rate, the kangaroos will be going faster than the cars.
Yeah, they will. That's exactly it. So we're going to be talking about that. Now, the other thing is...
And also this tree expert guy you're going to be talking to, right?
Tree expert who will confirm that trees do talk to each other, something that I first revealed over 3 years ago.
Really?
And they, and communicate with humans. Now, the other thing I was going to say
Maybe we get a tree on then.
No, don't be ridiculous. We get on the man who's written the book which proves the theory.
No, right.
And he's from Vancouver.
Yes.
I've been to Vancouver, beautiful place.
So.
Yeah, now...
we're out of time nearly, by the way.
No, just let me make this clear.
All right.
Because of the variable schedule we've been working to for perhaps...
Feels like we've been on tour, summer tour.
Yeah, about 8 or 10 weeks or something like that. There's always been a moan or two about where is the podcast and when's it coming out.
Yes.
That will now revert back to the very stable position of it being available, hopefully...
Don't jinx it.
Hopefully...
Don't jinx it.
By 9 a.m. next morning.
Don't jinx it.
Let's hope it is.
Yeah, well, now
Not
you've jinxed it. You've jinxed it.
I haven't jinxed it.
He is